Both of these players, no stranger to the bright lights, to the white noise. Let's go ahead and take a look at Bodhi's accomplishments. We already know that NAIC senior champion from last year, got a top 32 San Antonio Regionals, and the top 64 LAIC just this season, and then Toronto Regional senior champion that last season as well.
Yep, very impressive accomplishments, and looking to continue that now in the Masters division, and doing it with the Gardevoir EX deck. It's a deck that certainly loves to highlight skill, and Bodhi has shown that he has plenty of that to go around.
Now let's go ahead and take a look at Sam's accomplishments. World's top 32 2017, Portland Regionals top 4 2017. Already here yet again, LAIC top 32, and then a World's top 4 in 2016. Famously with his Sammy box.
Oh yeah.
Vileplume toolbox. And only plays a few tournaments a year. So doing pretty well at those few tournaments he plays in.
Yeah, there's a lot of legends throughout time for Pokemon that just show up once or twice out of the blue and remind us that they still got it. And Sam is certainly amongst those players. Rocking the Giratina V-Star this time around. Flower selecting is one of the best abilities that we've seen in quite a while. We got worried with Iron Hands that maybe some of these decks would start to fall to the wayside, but not yet.
Not yet, indeed. Both of these players, look at those records. 11-2-2, 11-1-3. They've had to battle it out this entire weekend.
Ooh, Clap Stadium.
That's a big one. Clap Stadium. 1 Curlia, that string
whoa,
tail.
Whoa, whoa, hey,
oh,
we need those.
3 Battle VIP Pass, 2 Mirage Gate, and a Super Rod. Could this be Sam's starting hand?
We need a Pokemon too, but yeah, that's not good. Not only does it mean you probably won't find all the Pokemon you want, but access to the Mirage Gate, the first Mirage Gate, is usually the most difficult. You need that right when you reach 7 so that you can continue and put on pressure. Maybe this is like a Cramorant kind of game.
Seems like it, Kyle. Well, here we go. The handshake. Looks like Bodhi is going to start things off. Going first as Ralt's in the active, staring down a Comfey from Sam's side of the board.
That's
Fog
not
Crystal.
a Mew.
It's not a Mew, yeah.
Yeah, Bodhi earlier on stream just rocking that Mew in the active spot almost every single time. It's going to be the Ralts and the Fog Crystal this time around, and gets a good look at the opening deck search, and won't be as surprised as Sam is.
Again, one thing we also saw earlier with Bodhi is just always having that Battle VIP Pass. It'll be interesting to see if he does or not, but starting with the Fog Crystal, you kind of have to expect it's not in the hand.
Yeah, we got a quick flash of the hand. I'm not sure if we see a Psychic Energy, but that'd be nice to find a retreat option, maybe into a card like Mew, but I'm not sure if we have that either. This is not typical.
Well, we can search for the Mew with this Fog Crystal if you want. Again, that relies having a Psychic Energy in your hand to retreat the active, but Bodhi is going to opt for that Ralts here.
Yep. If you don't have one, then it's not worth going for the other. So find some Ralts.
Quick flash of the hand, but it did not look very good here.
Ooh, change it to night.
But he does opt to go with the Mew instead of that Ralts. Potentially having the Psychic in hand to retreat, maybe Reversal Energy, but that would not be the best retreat here. And yeah, it is that Reversal Energy. Mysterious Tail, big 6 cards.
Ooh, Battle VIP.
How about a
no.
Counter Catcher? Do you think it's a Mirage Step?
There's 2 counter catchers in hand. That is a huge risk, but understandably went for it there. If you find the Battle VIP Pass, surely you know that you're going to have a few more Ralts to work with. This is not great. There was also a Refinement Curlia in the prize cards. There's one in hand, too.
Yeah.
Mirage Step gets 1.
Meanwhile, Sam's starting off the best way possible. Colress's Experiment, but ooh, 3 energy and 2 switch card.
Did you guys shuffle?
Cards. I don't think anyone shuffled here.
This is not ideal. Of course, those switch cards are nice to find, but every time that you throw away a basic energy into the lost zone, you come to regret it. It's not a happy feeling. Thankfully, the deck usually does play a fair amount of energies, understanding that this is going to be something you run into. So with 13 and none in the prize cards, maybe you can afford to lose a couple.
Looking like a pretty good hand here for Sam. Does have Nest Ball to search out that Cramorant, has another Comfey, and with the switch card and energy, we'll be able to get a spit instantly off this turn. It's really going to matter if you can find an escape rope.
With Nest Ball there, the potential to continue to draw, find some more resources, maybe Radiant Greninja would be nice, but ultimately taking a knockout here would be fantastic. If you can remove the Ralts from play with the Cramorant, escape rope, whatever it may be, that's a way to really put some pressure on Bodhi, and it doesn't matter what your prize cards are if your opponent doesn't have a Ralts in play.
Yeah, even taking a knockout on the Mew is going to be beneficial here. Just force as much pressure on Bodhi as possible for these next couple of turns. That is the benefit of playing this Lost Zone engine. Just really able to get out of the ground running with an early attack from that Cramorant.
List is playing 2 escape rope. We've seen a lot of different counts throughout the history of this deck, and they've settled on the 1 switch along with the ropes, and a lot of that is a credit to Rahul just saying, you know what, a lot of the time the Pokemon we want to attack is in the active in this matchup, whatever the matchup may be. They have to provide their biggest threat, and we can just clear it off the board. So let's just include a switch card that can move an evolution Pokemon if we run into a situation that's bad, but here's a situation where the rope would be so good.
Flower selecting here. Can't see the cards quite yet. Roxanne going to the Lost Zone.
It's my
Nest
favorite
Ball
flex.
found.
Favorite flex that you can do is we're not going to have a late game. We'll just throw that away.
This Nest Ball is going to be huge because you can search for that Radiant Greninja, concealed cards, some of those energies you found off Colress's experiment away. 2 extra cards. Sam's going to be able to dig a little bit deeper.
And we also saw switching effect, not escape rope, I believe was the switch card. But there is another Comfey in hand, I believe. So finding 4 cards for the discard pile should be fairly easy. Maybe a situation where you consider using a card like Pokegear to thin down. We'll see how desperate we get after seeing these 2 cards.
Water Energy and Giratina V-Star. Not really going to be that beneficial here. Does have the Pokegear in hand. I think we might just see a switch card. Flower selecting. You can also retreat and save the switch card to go into the Cramorant.
Yeah, and this lines up where if you find the escape rope, then you just use that resource instead. Wow. That is 2 more basic energies.
There is only 13 energy in the list. Of that, there's only 9 basic energy, and Sam has seen a lot of them.
At this point, you just consider that you're going to need a mix of those energies, though 1 grass and 1 psychic into the Lost Zone should be okay. Cramorant is going to get an early prize card in this matchup. But this for Bodhi is so awkward. Yeah, it's going to even use refinement now because there's no energy. You couldn't even Mirage Step for 1.
We do see a basic Pokemon. Does that mean Bodhi's going to continue to play this game here?
I mean, there is Counter Catcher. You can try to buy time, bring up that Radiant Greninja, and avoid knockouts. You have the Zacian V. You have time. There's 68 minutes remaining. But once again, just an unfortunate setup.
This is not the usual Gardevoir we've been seeing time and time again on these tournament streams. Sam drawing for the turn. Roxanne, that's not going to do anything right now, but in a very good position, having access to concealed cards. Pokegear to try to find a Colress's experiment yet again. And the Pokemon you want to knock out's in the active, that Kirlia.
That's it. It's just a simple retreat from this point into the Cramorant, but of course you have more things that you can do. Draw those additional resources with the Radiant Greninja. You can use that Pokestop, or Pokegear, excuse me, and maybe find a Colress experiment. And if you do, continuing to build the Lost Zone while also knocking out the only Kirlia in play. That is disastrous for Bodhi.
Pokegear did not find any supporter for Sam, though. Just going to have to settle with the retreat, taking the knockout. But honestly, that just might be enough.
Yeah, it feels like the worst turn for you, where this was the bare minimum that you needed to accomplish. But it's totally fine in this situation. You see Path to the Peak is in hand too. That could be a consideration, but you're playing around fringe scenarios where maybe your opponent was holding an energy and had Radiant Greninja, but it's so unlikely. But might as well just lock out some abilities and take a prize card.
Level ball off the top for Bodhi here. Go ahead and find a Ralts, but again, he's just playing so far behind.
It doesn't even beat boss's orders at this point, which once more is just the bare minimum that you could ask from Sam at this point. No additional cards into the Lost Zone, but Cramorant just continues to spit innocently left and right and knock out all of the viable Pokemon here for Bodhi. And this might be the last straw for Bodhi.
Yeah, it doesn't seem so innocent anymore. Boss's orders brings up that Ralts. And this Cramorant's going to take the easy KO yet again. Do we see the concession here? No. All right, maybe now.
Yeah. When you get the Battle VIP pass, you move on to game 2. Sam Hough with the quick 1-0 there in the top 4. That is exactly how you want to start things off. As the Giratina player, it didn't look great.
Yeah, it did not look great.
There wasn't anything fancy from either player. But if you were able to attack with Cramorant, you can win games.
Yeah, who needs Giratina? It's all about that Colossus experiment, those Comfeys, and Cramorant.
Well, you ready to check out the replay, Jeremy?
I am. 3 Battle VIP Pass. We were really worried for Sam in this early game, but combination of 2 Nest Ball able to close things out with that Colossus experiment, taking the knockout after knockout after knockout with that Cramorant. And it was enough for Sam Hough. And we're going to be going into game 2.
Till they quit. I like it. Yeah, moving into the second game here of the series. Let's ask the classic question of what does Bodhi need to do different here?
The Mew needs to find Battle VIP
Pass. Yes. The mysterious tail as opposed to the fail.
Let's take a look at our players' opening hands here. Radiant Greninja is going to be the starter for Bodhi. Didn't see what Sam started with, though.
Yep. I have no idea what's going on Sam's side, but not great prize cards here. 1 refinement. Also the mysterious tail Mew hanging out there. Not the worst prizes for Sam. It's a good mix, but Radiant Greninja, thankfully there's an energy. Can you find some resources? Level ball added.
I think there's a couple level ball in hand. You can use that to go ahead and grab a Ralts, but honestly, you might be forced to use both of them just because you want to play around an escape rope play yet again. And meanwhile, Sam's hand's pretty stellar. You know those Battle VIP Pass that were in the prizes last game?
Oh, did they find their way home?
They did find their way home. They're in the hand. There's 2 of them.
Man.
We'll be doing a little prize check in here.
Yep, there's no quit, and this young man wants to have the best opportunity to win game 2 here, so he's going to try to identify as many prize cards as possible within a realistic time frame. And then from that point on, you're just trying to build a bench, keep these Pokemon around so eventually they can evolve and draw you out of what didn't look like the best hand.
Listen, Pokemon's a young person game now.
What?
We're a little too old. We don't have the energy. These tournaments are getting bigger and bigger, longer and longer. And 15 rounds of Swiss, top 8, top 4. It's a lot of mental thinking, especially with a deck like Gardevoir. So many options through each of your turns.
It looks like second Ralts already moved to the bottom, so likely targeting that here as well. This is really all you can ask from your opening hand. Just have multiple Ralts in play. Don't run into that situation where the escape rope just completely takes you out of the game. And maybe there's a scenario where a card like Iono, whatever it may be, can bail you out of this situation, run you right into the appropriate Kirlia to maybe get a good setup.
And honestly, the Radiant Greninja in the active spot, probably the best place for it in this matchup, just because it soaks up a hit from that Cramorant.
Yeah, 100%. We've seen players time and time again retreating to this Pokemon, leaving it in the active spot, and trying to let it soak up that shot. And eventually, you can maybe remove that Pokemon with your Stadium card and be just fine.
Now it looks a little weird here with that reversal energy on the Radiant Greninja. It's not going to have that boost available if Bodhi's losing, but you want to be able to retreat the active into your Waltz just to give you an out to Mirage Step, and that reversal energy is not going to help you Mirage Step, so might as well use it to retreat the next turn.
Yeah, if that Moonlight Shuriken was active, then maybe Sam would try to sneak a couple of those into his deck. He's like, hang on a second, did I miss something?
Battle VIP Pass number 1 for Sam here, eyeing down Radiant Greninja and Comfey. It's going to take a time to look through, check the prize cards. Nothing too bad, especially not like last game.
Yeah, this is a healthy mix here, where finding any of these prize cards could be helpful regardless of what your situation is throughout the early, mid, late stages of the game. And having this bench set up that we're likely going to see with the second Battle VIP Pass that you mentioned, that is everything that Giratina is looking for. Just not only thinning out these Pokemon, but eventually that just leads to even better draws, most likely, from the Flower Selectings and eventual Colress Experiment that you expect to see.
It'll be interesting to see if Sam goes with 3 Comfey, because it could signal a Jet Energy in the hand. One of my favorite plays with this deck, being able to use 3 Flower Selectings with just 1 energy attachment.
I'm going to go back in. Yep.
There's that second Battle VIP Pass. Giratina V, and it seems like Cramorant are the choices for Sam here.
Yeah, once more, just identifying not only that the 2 Flower Selectings and the Colress Experiment are going to get the job done for that Cramorant, but you have an opportunity to draw into even better cards with the Radiant Greninja. And I do like seeing the early Giratina so often. Just having that threat for when you are presented with the Gardevoir EX can be night and day, especially if your opponent only sets up with the 2 Ralts.
And Jet Energy was found off the Flower Selecting for Sam, but with no other energy in hand, might want to use it for concealed cards, but no, attaches it to Giratina. We're going to see an Abyss Seeking here. The slower start for this Giratina deck, but able to look at the top 4 between the Lost Zone, and this is not a good look.
Build your own Colress, not looking like what you want. Sure, Pokegear could be a selection, and it's going to be the choice. Got to take some risks. Why not? You know, you already missed your supporter for the turn and had to promote the big guy. Let's take even more chances.
We do see Rare Candy, Gardevoir EX, and Bodhi's looking to get a little aggressive here. Who needs to Mirage Step?
Bodhi.
Yeah, probably.
There is Iono, thankfully.
There was also Ultra Ball, but you would be forced to discard that Manaphy. And with Radiant Greninja, even though there's only 2 water energies, it's still a very real possibility for Sam to get to, especially with that Abyss Seeking.
Yep.
And wow, Mirage Step found off the Iono. Psychic Energy to go along with it, retreats the Radiant Greninja. Is there any Kirlia in hand? I don't think so.
They're
just the 1 prize.
Yep. So the rest of the bench can fill up nicely. I didn't know if you were excited about Bodhi's hand or Sam's, because Sam found 3 Colress Experiment. He's certainly ready to do some experiments and find some additional resources here. But this is the awkwardness of promoting the Giratina V. It's a hard Pokemon to move if you don't have the switching effects.
At least having a couple basic energies can use that concealed cards, find a couple more cards before committing to a decision. Which of the Colress do you think Sam's going to play?
Middle.
The middle?
Oh. He made me look
Bad luck.
silly.
Yeah. Colress Experiment looks at the top 5 cards, put 3 in your hand, put the other 2 in the Lost Zone.
Found the
wow.
4th Colress Experiment.
Don't need that one.
I mean, sure, it's cool to see them, but this is a nightmare scenario when you're playing against a deck that has 4 Iono. When you have all of them in your hand, they all go bye-bye when that card is played, down to the bottom of the deck.
Definitely going to be interesting to see, especially that Bodhi has a little bit more of a setup this game. Already those two Curlia in play. Switch cart found will allow Sam to continue to build that Lost Zone a little bit and eventually finish things off with that Cramorant. Boss's orders and mystery card found off this flower selecting. There's the one boss's orders in hand, and Sam should know about it after searching through the deck and taking some notes. So this could be a very tough decision.
Yeah, I mean, the hand is huge, but not a lot of options within it. So losing
Boss's
the
orders
boss
does go to Lost Zone. It was a path to the peak.
It's a very good resource in a matchup like this. We've seen players shying away from heavier counts of stadiums in Gardevoir. So occasionally you can catch them slipping.
And with that retreat, no path to the peak in play just yet. And just a spit innocently taking a knockout to start things off for game 2.
Refinement.
Bodhi did promote that Gardevoir EX and uses Refinement, discards that Battle VIP pass. A little light on Psychic Energies, but did find a Fog Crystal.
Yeah, at this point, there's not many Psychic Energies even in the discard pile, so making sure that you can throw those away with the Radiant Greninja or potential Refinement is going to be pretty important.
Yeah, I think there's just the one from that Mirage step, Curlia. Concealed cards, makes it 2, and ooh, Battle VIP pass yet again. Not really what you're looking for here. Ultra Ball is going to have the potential to find that Cresselia, which has been kind of missing from Gardevoir lists a lot recently. Makes its way back in, but usually has a stellar Lost Zone matchup. That Moonglow reverse is such a great attack if you're actually able to keep it together, pick off those Comfeys on the bench.
Yeah, and the math just lines up so well, too. Not only are you taking that knockout, but when you're staring down the Cramorant from the other side, it doesn't directly take a knockout against you. They want to move this Pokemon, but then they're using switching effects before they're using flower selectings, and it just doesn't line up well for Sam.
Interesting that Bodhi discarded the Zacian V and is committing to damaging the Gardevoir, but having just enough energy to be able to clean up that Moonglow reverse damage, take the knockout on a Comfey, tying things up.
Yep, just a little shortcut there. All those Pokemon would have received 2 damage counters, but then you just move the 80 over to that Comfey to take the knockout, and all the damage goes right away.
Nestball is going to shuffle things up for Sam, though, and that's exactly what you wanted to find after that Iono putting those remaining Colossus experiments on the bottom of the deck.
Yeah, immediately just have to shuffle. It's terrifying to know that you aren't going to find any viable resource to draw into all of those additional cards. You're only at 6 cards in the Lost Zone right now, so not even Mirage Gate is open at this time. What else are you working with at this point? Certainly a basic energy would be nice to see, something to throw away with the Radiant Greninja and continue to draw. And it looks like that resource is there in the grass energy.
Concealed cards, finding 2 more cards for Sam. Is there a Colossus experiment in there? Does not look like it, but found the Giratina V-Star. No switch out here, though. So even though Sam has that Mirage Gate in hand, cannot use it just yet and might be forced to either retreat to the Comfey, find a switching out from there, or just spit innocently, put that damage on. But this Cresselia is going to stick around for another turn and be a nuisance for sure.
Yeah, not only is this an awkward play for Sam, it's also kind of weird for Bodhi too, as energies are not available to be played around and then eventually moved over as damage towards that Comfey. You need to see all those psychic energies now, and sure, there is that Fog Crystal, but thankfully is going to find an additional one there off of a Refinement.
Yeah,
but
Bodhi opting not to use the Fog Crystal for those first 2 refinements to get a psychic energy in the discard, more due to the fact that you don't want to take out those energies from the deck because you need to draw into multiples of them. Yeah, there's no psychic energy left in the discard. Can we possibly see a concealed cards into another energy and Ultra Ball, the fabled Ultra Ball for Bodhi.
Well, post-path, certainly that is
Yeah.
a consideration, and we do see that, but that is the 7th card in the Lost Zone for Sam.
Bodhi did find another energy, but I don't know if there's another way to get it into the discard just yet. Shining Arcana, energy, Ultra Ball? No.
Yeah, just a massive hand, but doesn't quite know what to do with it just yet. Evolving that other Kirlia would be potentially disastrous if your opponent was able to target down Gardevoir EX and take a knockout there. So, yeah, just going to place some chip damage onto the Giratina V. Looks like the best option here for Bodhi. It's a bit of a stalemate.
But with Path to the Peak gone, that turns on Radiant Greninja yet again. Sam discarding that water energy, draws 2 more cards. We see that Technical Machine devolution there. Could be something that is beneficial later on. We've seen it used effectively against Gardevoir.
Yep. Bench space was given to the Manaphy as opposed to the Jirachi, so maybe Pokemon like Spiritomb could, or Sableye would be able to help out later on. Honestly, what Pokemon's attacking in this situation, it hasn't lined up well against the Cresselia. Feels like Cramorant's just another wasted turn. But you got to start building threats. You have to challenge this Gardevoir EX and eventually try to take the knockout there.
I think we're just going to see a Spit Innocently yet again, cleaning up that damage from the Cresselia. But this is not the pace that Sam has wanted this game 2 to go. Thankfully, he is up that game 1.
Yeah, this is perfect for Bodhi, as Bodhi's been holding on to multiple counter catchers, waiting for an opportunity for Sam to take this prize card, which he does, and now Bodhi has to be thinking, oh yeah, I can knock out a Giratina V this turn.
With that knockout, Sam goes down to 4 prize cards, and like you said, that enables those counter catchers from Bodhi's side of the board.
Yeah, there's consideration to either Gardevoir in this spot. I think I like the Gardevoir EX more if you have the Psychic Energy, or just an option to grab that as... doesn't matter if you're at 290.
Yeah.
280 is not going to work with the Lost Impact. So attachment for the turn
Ooh.
there, or from Shining Arcana, would work out just fine.
So now 3 energy on that Shining Arcana Gardevoir, 1 on the active concealed cards, discards, and Psychic. So I think we're going to see potentially that Shining Arcana Gardevoir be able to take the knockout this turn.
It's not as fun.
Not as fun. You got to do what you got to do, though, with the way the cards have been dealt. There's Reversal Energy, another powerful energy in this position. Hopefully saving it for a V-Star knockout, though. Does find another energy from the hand, so we can go with both here. Just really depends what Bodhi decides to do. Super Odd is going to shuffle back that Cresselia, Waltz, and the Zacian V. And even finding another Waltz here with Fog Crystals could be really good for the future.
Yep, certainly acknowledges that. He's going to play that Pokemon down. Could lead to finding an additional attacker later down the road. We do know that Bodhi is playing plenty of additional attackers with that Zacian V, Screamtail as well, so should be able to find the resources to close out as long as you can avoid some of those precarious spots. And even wants to do that here with just promoting some single prize Pokemon. You see Sam go to 4 prize cards remaining. You think, all right, I need to make sure we got a little longevity.
Brainwave for the knockout. Cramorant is no more. Sam has just a single Comfey to try to find a Colossus Experiment here to get to 10. But even then, maybe it's just a turn where you shred.
Yeah, I don't like that. But what can you do at this point? It's nothing lines up well. Bodhi's really put Sam in an awkward position, playing around the Cramorant's early attack. And this just led to no deck thinning, a lack of Colress experiments, 7 cards in the Lost Zone, but we haven't seen the acceleration. And this is going to be the first time we see some energies start to hit the field.
How many energies are even left in the deck here? Grass and a Psychic, so that's what you need. But I think those are the last energies.
Yeah, wow. And we didn't see the entire deck there, but okay, now we did.
There's a Jet.
No, that doesn't work.
I think Sam might be a little hesitant to actually attach both of these. Already has a Jet Energy in hand to bring up that Giratina V. I do believe there's a Super Rod, though.
Certainly worth thinking about there, as eventually maybe you want to switch gears, incorporate the Sableye when you do get enough cards in the Lost Zone, which should slowly start to occur.
Yep.
As there's going to be options to eventually get some cards in the Lost Zone here, starting off with that Comfey and that Thin of 2 energies. Was that enough to lean into a decent supporter?
Decent support. I think there's only one in this position right now. It's a Colress experiment. Gets rid of Mirage Gate. Finds another Super Rod. Unfortunate. 2 cards there for Sam. Has that Roxanne, but is unable to play it, with Bodhi just having 4 prize cards left. I think we're going to see a Super Rod here, shuffle back a couple energies, and that Cramorant, potentially. I don't think there's any Pokemon search for that Pokemon just yet, but might as well use it while your opponent's prepping an Iono, most likely.
And at this point, even taking a prize card doesn't feel great. You walk right into another counter catcher scenario, where if your opponents can just target down 2 of these V Pokemon, they're going to bring us to a game 3. So do you try to incorporate some chip damage? Well, it looks like the Shred is going to be a strategy here to go for.
Is there an avenue to evolving that Giratina V on the bench? You're going to have 220 left. It puts you out of range of Gardevoir EX, but still getting knocked out just from basically anything else.
Yeah, it's going to be reasonable when you consider that your opponent could use a card like Iono against you this turn. And that's just one less resource that you're trying to dig for.
Does look like Sam just decided to use Shred, take the knockout. Down to 3 prize cards here to Bodhi's 4. But look at that massive hand for Bodhi. Reversal Energy, counter catchers galore.
Yeah, all of the options are there for Bodhi at this point. And you can certainly find another Gardevoir at this point. You have that Reversal Energy, so you can avoid over-damaging this Pokemon, maybe walking into awkwardness where the Sableye could remove this Pokemon and deal additional damage to soften up a Pokemon like that Gardevoir. Super Rod is a big piece there, as this leads to finding even more of the Gardevoir line. Thankfully, we already saw that Ralts played on the previous turn.
Does look like a pretty good turn here lined up for Bodhi. Needs just an attacker to be able to take a knockout on this Giratina V in the active spot. Not even having to use that counter catcher just yet. Lots to think about here, though.
Yeah, at this point, just a strong consideration playing down the Jirachi can lead to maybe a different attacker having to be in the active spot against this Shiny Arcana Gardevoir, which you're likely going to load up with some Psychic Energies. Look at this. There's, what, only 8 cards left in the deck at this point.
Yeah, very stark contrast compared to the first game we've had here in our top 4. Bodhi has been firing on all cylinders since that Mirage step. Reversal Energy on the active, and here's an Iono. So this Gardevoir will be able to take the knockout with just a couple of Psychic Embraces. No energy off the top. Did find that Curlia, though, so another refinement here to thin even more.
Yeah, and this is just a great safeguard against your opponent finding the absolute nuts, which would be to knock out that Gardevoir EX and not be at risk of having all those energies come right back for a big knockout. Having that Curlia there means that you don't have to go fishing for a card like that Rare Candy. You're just one step closer. You can also continue to draw with the refinement down the road. Bodhi's got everything they need for the KO here to go down to just 2 prize cards remaining.
Does mean this Gardevoir is in range for a Cramorant Spit Innocently. Sam did put it back in the deck. I think it's in his hand right now. Flower selecting, look at the top 2, and again, this seems like a tough decision.
We've had so many of those at this point.
Colress's Experiment, Mirage Gate.
Oh, and this is just the one turn where you start to want to avoid cards like the Colress Experiment. You'd rather have a card like Roxanne in this situation where you can really apply a lot of pressure, draw so many cards, limit what your opponent is able to do. And there's not a lot of draw accessibility. It would just be the one refinement.
The Cramorant wasn't in the hand. It was the Manaphy Cramorant found off this Colress's Experiment, along with a Jet Energy, so that's a way to get it into the active spot. But other than that, Escape Rope is the only available resource. Oh, no, there's a switch in hand. The awkward thing, though, Sam being at 3 prizes, Bodhi is not going to be able to countercatcher next turn. Might be forced to rely off that one boss's orders.
Yep, the evolution is found, so some additional hit points provided to try to hang in there against what could potentially be the final turn as Bodhi tries to close things out here. It's, the prize cards are getting tight here. Sam now down to 2 prize cards as well.
Path to the Peak is big, though.
We've already seen the Lost Vacuum played. There's still a copy of Worker.
It's in hand as well. Countercatcher.
Huh.
That's not useful right now. There's an Ultra Ball, though. Boss's orders and a way to bump the stadium that isn't the Worker would do it, but having the Worker available, it's going to be a little tricky.
Yep. Is there a thin possibility with the Ultra Ball? As we see, what, 6 cards remaining here?
Oh, there's 2 stadiums left in the deck.
The reach is there with the Shining Arcana, a thin here with the Gardevoir.
Ultra Ball yet again. Discards the Worker, so we're going for it here. Screamtail.
Yeah, there were 2 Pokemon remaining. This thins down the deck plenty. There's an opportunity here with Shining Arcana to draw into the right resource. You find that stadium, you're going to be moving on.
There's the Artisan.
Yeah, that's
both
big.
of them,
yeah,
honestly.
That is a huge counter there, as you need to find that draw the entire deck. Boss's orders to bring up the Giratina, and that means that with enough energies, you can take the knockout here and move into Game 3.
Using literally the entire deck available to Bodhi, able to clean up that Game 2, moving on to Game 3, and it is going to be a great Game 3 to have in our top 4. And we have some updates. John Eng, 2-0 against Maddox.
Okay.
So if Bodhi is able to overcome this Lost Zone, Giratina has another of that same deck ready to wait in the finals. Or we could have that all Giratina V-Star match.
Yeah, the full mirror, which would be something else to see too. So obviously a lot to cheer for as we move into this final game. Both players, plenty of time here, just about half of the clock remaining of that 75 minutes. So plenty of time for a great closeout here in the top 4.
That was definitely some amazing sequencing and just thinning and plays from Bodhi to get to that point where it was guaranteed.
Yeah.
Able to overcome that path to the peak with that stadium there. But there was the Mirage Step. Really helped Bodhi get set up this game compared to the last. Cramorant doing some early work, but a little harder worker is that Cresselia. Moonglow Reverse taking the knockout on that Comfey, healing off all that damage from Psychic Embrace, and Sam just has to settle for Cramorant a lot of the times and was able to finally get a Mirage Gate going, but was forced to use Shred to take the knockout, and that's an easy return knockout from this Gardevoir yet again.
Yeah, you just look at the attacks that Sam has to commit to throughout the rest of this game. It's just spit innocently or shred and hope to stay in the game. Continually just a bit short, and I feel like we could see a completely different Game 3 here. There's so much potential for both of these decks to find better setups. As I mean, it's really been a struggle. We have not seen the explosive setup from Sam just yet. Even in the victory in Game 1, it was just spit innocently over and over again with 4 cards in the Lost Zone.
Now it does look like one of our players is going to take a quick bathroom break, so we're going to refrain from talking about the match at all. But let's talk about the weekend, Kyle. It is almost done.
Yep.
We are just one game here and then finals here. It has been a pretty good weekend so far in Portland. I have been loving it here so far. One of my favorite cities for Pokemon.
Yep, we could see the closeout there as John Ang takes that 2-0 victory against Maddox, who was on a great run. We, of course, did get to feature Maddox in the top 8 performance, taking down Makani Tran.
Yeah.
And sure enough, unable to get through John Ang. He's going to be waiting in the finals. And what a run it's been for John. Obviously, was the 9-0 player. He's been in that situation before. It has not worked out in those situations, and sure enough, it did this time around. Was able to move in the 6th seed of the tournament, and has just been on an absolute tear since making the top 8.
Yeah, John almost just not making the top 8 here too. Having to rely off that resistance. Yep. Very good resistance to start things off, especially when you're 9-0. You're playing all of the top players throughout the entire weekend, but it's finally maybe time.
Maybe.
We'll have to see. He's going to have to wait to see this Game 3 against both of our players here in this top 4, and I'm excited.
Yeah, there's a lot to look forward to. Obviously, the matchup is so intricate. There's so many different plays. I feel like Cresselia is one of those cards that we often forget about in the matchup, as sure, it is very important that you're able to make that happen, but you don't always see it featured in Gardevoir. So if you don't have that resource, matchup can look totally different.
Now we have Portland here, and our next tournament is going to be Charlotte Regionals, and it's going to be in the same format. How do you feel like this tournament has kind of shaped the meta going forward?
Yeah, I feel like it's just shown something that we've already known, which is that the meta is wide open. Whatever you want to play, whatever your pet deck is, you can bring that, and we're excited to see what you're thinking is going to be the best deck for this tournament. Maybe it's not Charizard anymore, as Azul was hinting that there's been a lot of hate against the deck, a lot of players using their tech slots within their 60 to find a way to make that matchup even more difficult. So I'm excited to see which of the testing groups decide to go where. It seems like Mew VMAX always finds a way back into the top 8. Do we have to respect it? Is it time?
No, well, it did well this weekend, so that means the next tournament it's going to do bad because people are respecting it, and then it'll be good again.
Okay, so a lot of decks with
Knoxville
with the Drapion V.
Yeah.
Okay, but they all just keep throwing it away immediately off of Flower Selecting. Sounds good, Jeremy.
Looks like our players are ready and willing to get this Game 3 started in our top 4. Both players have their basic Pokemon. Let's take a look at the prize cards. Radiant Greninja, Curlia, Mew, Gardevoir EX. Meanwhile, Course Experiment, Boss's Orders, Mirage Gate, VIP Pass for
that hand
players.
Was good. Sam, make that your hand. Honestly, both of these would be pretty good hands.
Bodhi starting off with a couple of Ralts here.
Whoa,
just the pass of the turn, all right.
Sometimes that's fine. Often it isn't. There could be the Curlia and the Psychic Energy waiting, but this is not exactly what you want to see. And for Sam, the best card to start your turn there.
Ooh, wow.
I like those.
Can we take all 5?
No, that would be cheating.
Battle VIP Pass, Comfey, Energy, Path to the Peak, and that Giratina V-Star. Looks like Giratina V-Star is going to go to the Lost Zone. You don't really need it right now, but later on, it's going to be a little hard to find.
Yeah, often it is just the one, and it is a fringe scenario where your opponent just overextends, plays down into the Gardevoir EX, and then you find an opportunity to remove it with a card like Counter Catcher. But you're talking about so many different things that could happen there. Instead, let's focus on the fact that you have a great setup ahead of you. The hand needed help, and sure enough, this Battle VIP Pass is going to do just that, getting plenty of cards into the Lost Zone, and you have to expect Cramorant to be closing out on this Ralts.
Yeah, you almost have to guarantee it, especially starting with that Colossus Experiment. Just one Jet Energy can do it for you there. You also have access to concealed cards with that energy in hand. Get a couple more cards, and of course, Flower Selecting, trying to find those switch outs to continue that train rolling. And yeah, we do see 2 Psychics and that Jet in hand to go along with a Path to the Peak. Sam taking some quick notes for those prize cards, but this looks like a very advantageous position for him.
Yeah, plenty of energies in the hand, so you can get a lot of usage out of that Radiant Greninja, which will also lead into an interesting dilemma here where you have Path to the Peak in hand. Do you want to avoid situations where maybe Bodhi does find that Radiant Greninja and tries to draw out of what could be a bad hand? Or you might also limit yourself.
Well, we're going to have to wait to see concealed cards. This card, that Psychic Draw 2. Grass and Mirage Gate found. It's not going to help just yet. There's the Nest Ball in hand. You can use that to thin out a little bit, but it seems like Jet Energy is going to enable a few Flower Selectings for Sam here. Nest Ball's eyeing down Giratina V. Always good to get one of those in play. Just threaten the potential of a big knockout.
I mean, it really does only take the 2 Comfey in a matchup like this. So with the other in hand, easily guaranteed. Do love, of course, thinning before the Flower Selecting. And
another Comfey, Path to the Peak.
Ooh. Oh, maybe you can.
You have a switch card in hand too.
Yeah. You could go to 5 cards in the Lost Zone fairly quickly. Table's shaking again. we got the nerves.
Table's getting excited. Flower Selecting here, looking at the top 2 yet again. Jet Energy, or no, Switch and Path to the Peak yet again. Wow.
That's all of them?
There's 4 in the list.
Okay.
And there's that Retreat. Spit Innocently. Does this turn 2 have anything from Bodhi here? We're expecting a Mirage Step angle.
We're really hoping for a Mirage Step angle, or else it is just puppy power. Zacian V.
Oh, no.
Oh.
Puppy power indeed. Roar of the Sword. Search your deck for a Psychic Energy. Attach it to one of your Pokemon, but ends your turn. And this is not the Game 3 Bodhi has been hoping for.
There's a boss's orders in hand.
Yeah, he grabbed it from the prize cards. Like, he knew this was coming.
Oh, this is exactly what you think about when your opponent goes to the bathroom. You know, imagine a world where not only there's only one Ralts in play, but he slaps the energy on it too.
Oh, no. Sam writing some notes of, yeah, I'm going to have a good turn next turn.
What am I going to do with all this money? Of course, not to talk too soon. There's always a backup plan with Gardevoir, but seeing the Ralts go down in this instance, that is nightmare fuel.
Indeed. Bodhi taking a look to check the prize cards because this is the first real search that he's had this game, and it's ending his turn. How bad do you think Sam wants to just draw his card?
Oh,
Play
yeah.
that boss's orders.
The patience that we've seen from players so often when they already have that availability. We've seen that with Vance Kelly. We're winning the world championship. Just had to wait 9 minutes there with a boss's orders in hands. Like, I'm the champion, I'm the champion, I'm the champion.
Azul waiting for Grant to hit that Giratina V-Star, having the boss's orders in hand already.
Yep. Just stop playing cards. And Sam certainly still has a few moves. Jet Energies, switch carts. Great ways to continue to build up the loss zone and not skip a beat. But ultimately, this is a boss's orders kind of turn.
Roxanne going to the lost zone. Giratina V-Star found for Sam Hough here. Jet Energy will allow another flower selecting. Build up that lost zone. Going to have 6. Maybe find a Color's Experiment for next turn. Looks like Mirage Gate Nest Ball was the 2 card. Or Super Rod Nest Ball. There is that retreat. Cramorant in the active, and a big boss's orders coming down. And Bodhi's not liking that.
Rightfully so. Pat to the peak. And once again, add a little insult to injury. Cresselia is promoted. There's a Gardevoir found.
That's not going to really help you there.
Yeah, doesn't that evolve from something? What was it called again?
Ralts?
Yeah.
Corellia?
A couple of those guys would be nice.
Just a quick pass of the turn back to Sam, and with a stacked hand like this, who even cares that you have 2 Battle VIP pass in there?
Okay. Jet Energy just showing off
One of my favorite cards.
how effective it can be. Now the Lost Zone almost at full capacity.
Switch Cart and Pokegear are the 2 cards found. I like the Pokegear here in this instance.
Well, you have to think that we're getting into shred territory pretty soon. Be an opportunity to just remove this Cresselia, provide a big threat.
I think Sam agrees with you here. Finding that Grass and Psychic Energy might be forced to use another Mirage Gate, having already attached for the turn. But there is plenty of basic energies left in the deck to do just that.
You taking notes in a spot like this?
No. But that's why I'm here, and Sam is there.
Absolutely.
Feeling I'm not winning.
Bodhi's just having a feeling that he's not winning.
Spot on.
Yeah.
Pokegear. We haven't seen it find the right cards just yet, and
How about a Roxanne?
that's not the one. But who cares?
And get it out of the deck.
Yeah, you don't want to see that again.
The blank card.
Bodhi says it's just a blank card. It's not going to matter this game.
He's like, I'm not taking prizes.
Yep. Do appreciate the humor that comes along with being in this situation, understanding the gravity of it, but ultimately understanding that both players here to have a good time, and it's how it goes down sometimes.
And Abyss seeking here. Taking things a little slow, but you have time to do just that. Battle VIP pass off the top of the deck for Bodhi Robinson here. And that's not doing anything.
That's just mean.
You can throw it away with this Lost Vacuum. But no, just the pass of the turn. Sam finds another Mirage Gate here, and oh boy.
Yep. Holding boss's orders that was found off the Abyss seeking, even if Bodhi finds the Miracle Ralts. Just bring that right back up. Take a knockout. Shred taking another prize. Sam moving to 3 prize cards remaining.
All right, over under on Bodhi taking a prize this game. It is not looking good, and there you have it. Conceding game 3, Sam Hough moving on to your finals, and we have an all Giratina V-Star finals, Kyle.
All right.
Yay!
Yay for my caster predictions, but ultimately, commiserations to Bodhi there. It's just unfortunate that that's the way that things go down for you. Obviously, in your first year in the Masters division, you expect to see a player like this have some struggles and maybe not make their way to situations like this. But sure enough, in the top 4, and was really just a couple draws away from potentially being in the finals against John Eng.
Definitely the deepest run Bodhi has so far this season in the Masters division. Let's go ahead and recap these 3 games so far. Rough prizes, but double nest ball able to help Sam out in this game 1. Spit innocently, taking early prize cards with just the lone Ralts. With that Curlia, not able to find much of anything, and this kind of seems like deja vu.
Yeah, we've seen this a little bit, and it was there was not much going on here in game 2 for Sam. Bodhi found a pretty solid opening, although it did take on a different twist, but moving into the Cresselia was a great line here, taking down that Comfey, adding some additional damage onto a Giratina V at one point, and just making sure that every counter catcher was going to be helpful in this situation. Played the prize card exchange beautifully. Sam tried their best to make sure that there was a final stand here, but it just wasn't enough. There was plenty of energies to go around. Gardevoir take the knockout in a perfect play there with the Jirachi, and boom, very last play there. All the cards taken from the deck, but you found that Artisan, and that led us to game 3.
Yeah, it's so awkward going from just the masterclass that Bodhi puts on in that game 2 to this start here. Double Ralts pass, Cramorant taking the knockout again and again, and then we just start shredding. Cresselia goes down. Bodhi, the top of the deck, not doing anything for him, and just like that, Sam makes it to the finals, and we're gonna have a pretty stellar finals for sure.
Yeah, no, it's very exciting. It's 2 phenomenal players, and to watch the mirror match play out in these hands is going to be something else. Obviously, it's very exciting to see that, and also you think about what it means to these players. For Sam to only play in as few events as he does, and to make it to the finals in this situation, playing against a good friend in John Ang, who has just been dying for the opportunity to get to a final table. I feel like we're talking about Pikarom days.
Yeah.
The last time that we really saw him go on one of those huge runs and make it to this spot. And it definitely means a lot to both these players. Very excited for them to have this opportunity. And either way, $7 grand.
Yeah.
Sign me up.
$7 grand for second place, 10,000 for the winner. Bodhi walking away with a cool 5 Gs.
Ooh, in the first year master.
Yeah, and honestly, every tournament, it seems like Bodhi is just placing higher and higher. I'm excited to see what's going to happen in Charlotte, even. Maybe a finals, maybe a win for that first year master. Seems like just a lot of skilled seniors moving up into the Masters are able to navigate this hard field.
Yep. Well, we are very excited to see this finals. I'm sure you are too. So take a quick break. Don't go too far. When we come back, we're going to load up that finals and see who wins Portland Regionals.
Prepare for a battle of the ages in the Pokémon Trading Card Game, Scarlet and Violet Paradox Rift. Available now. Each booster pack of 10 cards sold separately. Cards vary by pack.
All it takes is a moment for everything to change. We can turn the tables. We can win the day. In the heat of battle, we won't be undone. Let them come for the throne. We fight. United as one. Here we stand on the edge of greatness. Get ready, cause the battle's here. We can turn the tide, we can take this. So close, victory is near. Here we stand on the edge of greatness. With my warriors by my side. Born ready, we can almost taste it. The edge of greatness. The edge of greatness. The edge of greatness.
I'ma tell you about the come up, how I learned the game. Every challenge that I faced, how I earned the name. Nobody said that it was easy going for the gold. You gotta take risks, you gotta be bold. But I'm here to run the race, yeah, I'm here to go far. Here to take names, here to be a star. And when I finally make it, I'll be at the top. Best of the best, yeah, I'll be walking where legends are alive. I'll be walking. I'ma be right there by their side. I'll be walking where everyone can see. I'll be walking that I'm the best to ever be. Forging my path, just a matter of time. You better get yours, cause you ain't getting mine. Learned every lesson in the hardest way, but that's the path that I chose, that's the hero's way. Yeah, they said I couldn't do it, but I proved them wrong. At the top of the mountain, right where I belong. And now I finally made it, yeah, I'm at the end. Best of the best, yeah, I'll be walking where legends are alive. I'll be walking. I'ma be right there by their side. I'll be walking where everyone can see. I'll be walking that I'm the best to ever be. I'ma walk the road with pride. I'ma hold my head up high. Make 'em stop and stare. You can find me there with my finger pointed to the sky. I'll be a legend, and I'll never grow old. Here on Victory Road, where legends are alive. I'ma be right there, right there. Just watch me. I'll be walking where everyone can see. I'll be walking that I'm the best to ever be. I'ma walk the road with pride. I'ma hold my head up high. Make 'em stop and stare. You can find me there with my finger pointed to the sky. I'll be a legend. I'll be a legend. Now I'm finally home, here on Victory Road. Victory Road. Oh, the legends are told of the heroes who won the hearts of the world. They were born champions. The deeds were well known, and the word of them spread, and they vanquished their foes wherever they tread. They came for the glory, they went for the fame. They'll go down in the books. We'll remember their names. Content as they fight, will look in their eyes. They came to win, they came to be immortalized. 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 Immortalized.
What started as 1,400 players has whittled its way down to just 2. It's finals time here in Portland, and there's no better time to get things started. My name is Ethan Heggie. I'm joined alongside Kyle Pukasukovic, and here we are, Kyle. It's finals time, and what an exciting one this is going to be.
Yeah, just one match to go to crown a winner here. The winner, of course, goes home with $10,000 and an automatic invitation to the Pokemon TCG World Championships in Honolulu. This is it. There's one left. The stakes could not be higher here at the regional championships. Just can't wait to get started.
So we started with 1,400 players, and then we broke things down to 8 players for our top 8 bracket. Here was the field for our day 2. Of course, Giratina V-Star, the most popular deck, and no surprise here, Kyle. It's our 2 decks in the finals.
Yep. Not much else to say. We saw a lot of these, decks at the top of the graphic. Those are the ones that made it into the top 8, minus the Roaring Moon. forget that one. But yeah, we are down to just 2 decks, and it is both Lost Zone Giratina V-Star. So, hey, it was a great call for the weekend.
A great call so far. Another great thing here, a whole variety of decks. We've had 6 different decks here, or rather 5 different decks in Top Cut. I mean, look at that variety there. We had, of course, the Pidgeot decks that featured the Charizard. We saw 2 Mew VMAX. That was not a deck even in our top 6 most popular decks for both days of competition. And as well as Gardevoir EX sneaking in, so got some points for that. And things broke down pretty interestingly here. Of course, off stream, we saw a lot of 2-0s here in the first round. And Ian Robb barely unable to squeak through Sam, and Sam just took that momentum, ran through Bodhi's in the finals, and John won a really close setup against Maddox. That first game super tight, and is now here in the finals where Sam and John are going to battle it out to see who will become a regional champion. And these are 2 players who have played in the Pokemon TCG for years upon years, decorated players, and one of them will finally get that big win.
Yeah, they've both been at it for a long time. Sam probably most known for getting top 4 at the World Championships with the Vileplume Toolbox deck. I think fell victim to Shintaro Ito and that legendary run for the Mega Audino EX deck. And I think this is the first kind of major accomplishment since then for Sam. And John, he's been at the top of the leaderboards in North America for a long time. Lots of top cut, top finishes at these regional championships, but never a win. Is this John's moment to finally get a win, or will Sam stop him and delay the story a little bit longer?
Of course, Sam, as we keep mentioning, very accomplished player in the game. Played recently this season, has a few day 2s, some top 64s, some top 128s in the mix. But a big breakout performance here, and so much on the line for both players. Of course, playing this Giratina V-Star deck, the winner getting a trip, or rather, not a trip, but essentially what is their ticket, punching their way into Hawaii. It is their invitation. And of course, John Eng, so close. Top 4 at LAIC most recently. We also saw Arlington Regional Championships last year, playing Lugia V-Star, and sort of pivoted over to this Giratina deck, and seemed to work for him so far. Has had 2 9-0 starts with this deck. Is this the time where he's able to convert and, as you mentioned, get that win?
Yeah, talk with some people backstage, and it feels like John is one of these players who constantly makes top 8 of regionals, but then it typically falls to the people who end up winning all of these regionals. People like Azul, Michael Pramalot, like Tord Reklev, those level of players. But this time, John went through Azul in the top 8, and maybe has finally broken down a barrier. Whew, lots on the line here. I'm sure nerves for both players. This is the highest pressure situation. Finals of a regional championship. Tons of prizes on the line. We'll see which player takes this one home.
Yeah, these players also came up the same year in the seniors division. So we have a finals of 2 players at the same age. Let's see if this is going to be a great one. Here we go. Portland Regional Championship Finals. Let's get things underway as come phase for both players. Who will be going first? Sam starting action off, and it will just be a flower selecting. Looking through the deck to see the options. Now, Path to Peak, a great card in a lot of matchups, but not too relevant here in this mirror.
Yeah, don't see a Battle VIP pass just yet, but there is a Nest Ball and some cards to play with for Sam. So, yeah, just going to be trying to get some cards into the Lost Zone. Of course, this is a mirror match. I don't believe they're playing exactly the same deck list, but, I mean, pretty close. We're going to see a lot of the same strategies back and forth, trying to react to each other's game plan. Some hand disruption as we get later into the game. These should be some good ones.
Jet Energy hitting the Lost Zone. Seeing if there's anything else that can be played down. They've been considering whether or not to put Giratina V into play. Potentially, we are going to see Nest Ball come down, so this will be Sam's first opportunity to check the deck, see what cards are available. Options are there. It's a smart choice for these players, taking notes, wanting to write down what's available in terms of prize cards. But as we saw before, there's nothing really too relevant in terms of what's prized for both of these players, so I think we're going to have a great match here.
Yeah, Ethan, you think this is one of the matchups where going second is advantageous? I mean, being able to get that first attack off with the Cramorant, is that a difference maker here?
See, I sort of thought about that originally. I think there's advantages to going second both ways. You can, of course, go aggressive with Cramorant, but you get into sort of this weird situation where Cramorant's great at taking the first prize, but then Cramorant knocks out the other Cramorant, and then it sort of becomes this cat and mouse game. I think the big thing for both these players is really the setup, and more importantly, it's who goes down to those 3 prize cards first, because Roxanne is a huge card in a matchup like this where both decks are trying to capitalize on falling behind while being able to apply attacking pressure. So I think if you do go second, you do have a big opportunity. If you have Colress's Experiment, if you can dig through your deck and not necessarily rely on Abyss Seeking, you're in a really good spot. However, if you don't do that, it's a little bit tough.
One big difference for these two players. So there's no Jirachi for either player, so Sableye Lost Mine will be in play at any point. But Sam actually does not play Manaphy. So we could see Radiant Greninja be a big attacker for John in this matchup. John does have the Manaphy, so can block that Moonlight Shuriken. That can be a devastating swing in these kinds of matchups where you're able to knock out 2 of your opponent's Comfey in one turn, take a multi-prize turn. So we'll have to keep our eye on that as the game progresses. What do you think about that? No Manaphy for Sam.
It's interesting. I think for Sam, benching double Comfey without Manaphy is a little bit risky. You can sort of play the game out sometimes with just relying more off of Abyss Seeking. But listen, Sam is here in the finals and I'm not, so we'll see how things progress. Excellent start here for John. Has, I think, Colress's Experiment in the hand. There's a Battle VIP pass right away.
Man, this finals match is so exciting. The table's shaking. You can feel the energy in the room.
Giratina's coming into play, everybody. Be careful. Watch out.
Yeah, great start here from John so far. Battle VIP pass. That's the card you want on your first turn. Grab some basic Pokemon out of your deck. And we'll see what John's preferred strategy here is in the beginning. Can go for that Cramorant if you're able to get 4 cards into the Lost Zone. Get the first knockout. And then yeah, we'll go from there. These games do have a lot of interesting back and forth. It's not, as straightforward as, I attacked first, so I win. There's going to be lots of disruption, lots of trying to play around what your opponent is trying to do. Yeah, I can't wait for the game to get to, like the more exciting stages. We kind of go through the motions in the beginning. Your first checkpoint is, do I attack on the first turn? And then does my opponent respond from there? And then things get a little weird.
Speaking of attacking on the first turn, John deciding to grab that Cramorant. We'll grab the Giratina V as well. I think the choice here for John is, or rather, it's an interesting choice because usually if you're trying to look for a lot of basic Pokemon here, sometimes it's better to just play the Colress's Experiment first, see your 5 cards, and then from there be like, okay, I can go for double VIP pass, or I can find all these Pokemon out. But another concern, too, is if you don't grab these one-of copies like Cramorant out and you're forced off of Colress's Experiment to see that card, it's an instant keep. You don't really have a lot of flexibility. So here we go, 5 cards. And this is a little bit tough here, though, for John, because these are all very important cards. So if there's going to be some valuable resources that have to be put away, something like that Water Energy, there's only 2 copies of Water Energy in the deck. So if you put that away, or rather there's 3 in John's deck, Sam is only playing the 2 copies of Water Energy. So I think this is just the choice of John, is you kind of got to already look ahead and see what attackers do I want to use. And if John does value that Radiant Greninja, you have to keep that Water Energy. I mean, we sort of saw the prize cards. There are no Water Energy in the prizes, so that's nothing to be too concerned about.
Yeah, I mean, this is where the decisions with Lost Zone decks get very challenging. Trying to figure out how many resources can I throw away. You got to remember what energy are in my prize cards. John deciding, yeah, I'm going to keep the Water Energy here. And now, yeah, another tough choice. Do have the Manaphy. There are some versions of these Giratina V-Star decks that don't run Water Energy. It's pretty rare these days, I think.
Yeah.
But you could take the risk and be like, maybe they're running the no water version.
Yeah, and with
John's just going to say, nah, let's play it safe, make sure my opponent can't get that advantage with the Moonlight Shuriken.
Another tough choice as well. You're forced to put an energy into the Lost Zone. I mean, at this point, with Sam being on stream, I'm sure somebody has probably informed him that, yeah, your opponent's got Water Energy in their deck to be ready. does put away water energy. That means that with one in the discard pile, something like Super Rod is going to have to be played.
Do you have a switch?
I don't think there's... No, nothing. Just going to pass the turn over. Not even anything like an Abyss Seeking being used to fuel this Lost Zone up. And action's on Sam, but I'm not sure that Sam has something like Colress's Experiment yet to start the turn. Will be the Jet Energy kept, it seems. Or rather, does have that in the hand. Roxanne going to the Lost Zone. And here we go, Escape Rope. So first choices for John. Going to put that Comfey up into the active. These are a pretty big 2 cards off this flower selecting. Something like Colress's Experiment, ways to fuel the Lost Zone a little bit more. And I'm not sure. I feel like if you have Colress, maybe you slam it down there off of those 2 cards from flower selecting. And now it's another tough choice here for Sam. With John having 4 cards in the Lost Zone, you really can't safely use Abyss Seeking. If something like 1 more flower selecting or Colress's Experiment will put you in a tough spot. And yeah, it's going to be another Comfey coming down to the bench. And flower selecting being used for a 3rd time this turn. Do we see some sort of supporter card? And you see on Sam's face, it's just not there. And that might not cut it here, Kyle.
I don't know if there's access. No, there's access to nothing. This, both players deciding to take it slow and be kind to each other in the early goings of this game. One other thing to call out. Both players, their only stadium card is Path to the Peak, and neither player uses Lost Vacuum. So that will be stuck in play for the entirety of the game. That means the Radiant Greninja on Sam's side will not be using concealed cards at all during this game. Back to John. Interesting decisions again on another Colress's Experiment. Should be getting up to 7 cards in the Lost Zone in this turn. This would be a huge opening for, well, one thing to note is John did fill his bench. So does not have a way to put down like Radiant Greninja. Can't go for Sableye. Can be dangerous to kind of bench lock yourself in these kinds of matchups. We'll see if that, we'll see if John comes to regret that in the future turns.
And speaking of this matchup too, I mean, it's kind of tough. Taking prize cards is good, but how can cards like Counter Catcher really punish players in this matchup for maybe getting aggressive and taking prize cards before their opponent?
Yeah, I mean, once you take 1 prize card, your opponent can Counter Catcher, go after your Giratina V-Star, and kind of initiate a race of, I'm taking 2 prize cards every time you're taking 1, or you've taken 1 and I'm going to take mine in chunks of 2 and maybe win the game a little faster. At the same time, I mean, once you've kind of locked your bench like this, you kind of have to be the one to make the first move.
Yeah, and speaking of locking bench too, Sam is also in a really tough spot with how this board is playing. That Radiant Greninja, now that Manaphy's in play, is sitting there pretty much doing nothing. Its ability shut off by Path to the Peak, and there's only 1 more bench slot for a Pokemon. If you don't bench another Giratina V, then that race, like you talked about, John can just take the 2 prizes and not even be worried about 2 prizes back, but John will open that bench space up, take the first prize cards in this matchup, spit innocently, and there it is, Colress's Experiment. It's at the cost of getting rid of Mirage Gate, not a card you really want to willingly get rid of, but it's worth the trade-off.
We could play the game now.
It's true. Listen, playing the game is better if it means you have to get rid of a Mirage Gate. That's a fine trade, but it's just more energy cards and things that, if you're Sam here, this is a big opportunity now that you're going to be potentially at 7 cards in the Lost Zone to maybe Counter Catcher and start that race, but even then, it's just, can you get that second Lost Impact or Star Requiem up if you're taking those first prize cards? And with how little Colress's Experiment and Dig has really been happening on Sam's side, I'm not sure if that's possible. So I think there's like all the remaining Psychic Energy and Grass Energy, I think, are in Sam's hand in this position. And that's bad, not only because they're not cards that are going to help you draw or fill your board, but you can also not Mirage Gate those energy cards that they're not in your deck to be Mirage Gated.
This, we got 2 Giratina V-Star decks in the finals, Ethan.
How did this happen, Kyle? How do we let this happen?
This is peak performance right here.
Whether you like it or not.
Yeah, sometimes this happens. This is typically not how the matchup plays out, I don't think. But Sam going to try to find some way out of this. We do see the Counter Catcher in hand. Just going to go for another flower selecting. The other awkward thing, only 8 in the lost zone. If you're going to get to 10, you would need to bench a third Comfey. So that means we're not going to see like a Sableye Lost Mine this turn. Just another pass. What is going on? These decks are supposed to be like aggressive and attacking quickly.
Nope, it was all a lie, Kyle. It was all a lie. So action's back on John. I mean, we've seen, I would not count Sam out of this at all. Still plenty of ways to come back in this matchup. As you mentioned, John is still bench locked, so there's no way to bench something like Sableye or potentially even get down another Giratina. It's just going to be the Mirage Gate. An interesting choice for John. Might not have information of how powerful Radiant Greninja could be in this position, as we see Water Energy is the choice off of this Mirage Gate. There is something like a Grass Energy in hand. I mean, this is another situation where we talk about using Mirage Gate is great to thin these energies out so you don't draw into them, but there is that risk that if you're not using it to attack, one of these Giratina V-Stars can be knocked out, and so does their energy being removed out of play. But John's going to kind of take this position and say, you know what? I've got enough energy in here. I'm just going to power up both of my Giratina V-Star, and if you knock one of them out, I've got the other one here ready to hit you back super hard.
Yeah, you can run out of resources that way, though. You only have so much energy, so many Mirage Gates to use. So that's where these games can get a little weird.
Yeah.
Commit too many resources to one Pokemon, gets knocked out. Do you have enough to close out the game? See what John has planned.
Like,
gonna fully power that one Giratina V-Star. If we see a boss's orders this turn and go for a 2-prize knockout, could be strong. It's also really hard for John to get a read on how strong Sam's hand is. He's just done nothing. He doesn't know. Or are you just sitting there like one card short of something great? So it's hard to know how aggressive to even be here. But we do see boss's orders off of the Pokegear 3.0. Ethan, I got to tell you, Pokegear 3.0 has been around for over a decade. They have not improved the technology. It still only looks at the top 7, but hey, it's good enough.
No new models at all. It's just the same old Pokegear 3.0. And I love this play from John, going aggressive, going after the Giratina V, and taking the 2-prize knockout with Lost Impact. However, this play is weird when John's pushing himself to odd prize cards as well as getting rid of a huge amount of resources. Because John's going down to 3, Sam can now play something like the Roxanne, disrupt John's hand.
Two water energy gone as well, so no Radiant Greninja option anymore.
So here we go. And there is that Roxanne in the hand and the Giratina V-Star. Now, John's smartly deciding to keep energy on the bench Giratina V-Star, but Sam could potentially play something like the Counter Catcher and go after these 2 energy. I mean, they're pretty much almost identical, but that 1 energy does matter. It is super important.
Yep, huge turn for Sam. The prize card count does not tell the story in this matchup all the time.
Yeah, I feel like if you're in John's position there, I think you're maybe more than okay to just take the knockout with Cramorant, and then from there, if you're going to make this big play where you're trying to go Lost Impact back and forth, you at least are just 1 knockout away. In this position, even if John finds a great hand off of this Roxanne, he can't win the game the next turn, and that could open up another option for Sam to claw back in. Now the bench spaces are opened. Lost Mine is a potential. Cramorant hasn't been played yet. So these are going to be a big 2 cards here for John. Sam will finally get to see some more cards, maybe get down another Giratina V for this sort of back and forth race like you talked about, where these Giratinas now are swinging back and forth into each other. There's perfect math there, 280 HP and 280 damage with Lost Mine. And there's that Giratina.
Yeah, Sam crucially finds another Giratina V. If John, all he needs is a Psychic Energy next turn to use Star Requiem and take out this Giratina V-Star that's in the active, but this is a big moment. You see a Psychic Energy in the Lost Zone. You see one in the discard pile. It's not trivial to find this one Psychic Energy to use this V-Star power and score the knockout. And if you're John and you miss here, I think you're in some trouble.
Yeah, and there's only 1 Mirage Gate left. And what's also sort of iffy about John going to 3 prize cards instead of maybe being even at 4 is Counter Catcher is a card that's still active for Sam. And Sam does play how many copies of this Counter Catcher? There is just the 1, so it's actually not going to be as much. It was used there to get rid of that Psychic Energy, but I mean, these are things that you've got to kind of be aware of in this situation because there's always potentials. See if this risk pays off for John. We'll play this nest ball to give himself as good outs as possible, but I don't know if these other two cards are really cutting it. I think there's just a Comfey and a Path to the Peak in the hand, and with no way to retreat this Comfey, with no switching cards at hand, no supporter cards, it's at the mercy of this Flower Selecting to see what John can put together this turn. So here we go. 2 cards off Flower Selecting. What is it? It's a Battle Pass. That's an easy choice to throw to the Lost Zone, but what was the card that was kept? It's an Escape Rope. So now Sam presented with a question, what do you switch into here?
Answer right there, Giratina V.
There you go.
Yeah, it's way too risky, I think, to send up a single prize Pokemon because Cramorant could just knock it out. And then, obviously, one Giratina V-Star falls and you lose. It can be awkward if you don't have a switching card in your hand, but it looks like Sam has a Jet Energy and a switch card. So easy decision, sending out a Pokemon that is not going to give up a prize card here. And, yeah, what looked like John had the advantage at the beginning, starting to slip away a bit.
Yeah, first player to enter Roxanne range really feels what it's like to be Roxanne when you've been playing Roxanne on your opponent the entire day. And I mean, there is a Grass Energy, but speaking of resources, there's 3 energy cards in the Lost Zone. 3 Mirage Gates have already been expanded on John's side, and it's just going to be a pass over to Sam. So this is a big opportunity. If Sam can find one of those 2 Boss's Orders available, Sam can be the one to take the prize lead, go down to just 2 prize cards left, put himself in a winning position. Can still dig through the deck a little bit, has Flower Selecting at his disposal. Nice card to get rid of. Don't need that Path to the Peak. I don't know what happened there. Maybe some technical stuff, but our players are staying focused and staying alert.
Yeah, this situation still is a bit awkward, though. I think if you're Sam, you don't want to take a single prize knockout here. You would like to just knock out a Giratina V-Star and a Giratina V, and that to be the game. So if you don't have a Boss's Orders and a way to take a 2-prize knockout here, you might pass. I feel like we've seen more passing than attacking in this game.
Yeah, it's weird. I think it honestly might just be leaving something like Greninja in the active that can't be knocked out by Cramorant, because John would love to take a 1-prize knockout here and put himself 1 knockout away. So,
or even like throw the Jet Energy on the Giratina V and Abyss Seeking.
It's kind of risky then, because then if you get Star Requiem, then Sableye, right, can just take the knockout that way. So it is interesting regardless of how it plays out. But yes, it definitely would still be a better option than taking the knockout. This is an interesting play here from Sam, putting Sableye onto the board. We could see something like Lost Mine, spread some damage counters around, and maybe set up for a 2-prize turn later down the line. It is going to be that. We'll see the switch card going to the Sableye. And there is that Psychic Energy in hand, pretty much inviting John to potentially take a knockout with this Cramorant. I'll be curious to see where this damage goes. I've seen lots of players sort of explain like 7 and 5 in terms of damage counters. How would you like to see that
Knocking out
here?
the Cramorant.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Taking away that easy knockout option that's a heads-up play. And now John's going to be under pressure to find some sort of response here. Last turn didn't have anything. Are we relying on this Flower Selecting once again?
Did top deck the Psychic Energy for turn, but it's a little too late at this point. That Giratina V was an easy prime target to be knocked out by something like Star Requiem, but...
Well, and the choices off this are painful. It's Sableye and Switch. You would like to have both of those. Sableye would be a great response in this situation, but you can only take one of these cards. And given the situation, it's probably got to be Switch. You got to switch into the other Comfey and hope for something good.
Sam has entered Roxanne range, so it's probably your only way to really keep yourself in this matchup at this point. And John understands the risk factor, keeping the switch, and I think it's going to come down to this, Kyle. We could see potentially one more Flower Selecting if there is one more in the hand. Here we go, 2 cards. What is there? It's a Jet Energy. It's not the worst card. It means you can jet this Comfey and still have an option with the Mirage Gate, but I think we're doing our max here. Flowers have all gathered together. Here we go. Picking out the best one. That's what you want to hear if you're John. 2 more cards. What do we see off the top?
How about another Jet Energy?
2 more switching cards. And now there's no attackers available. Only these Giratina V-Star. There's no way you can expand the resources to attacking here. There is the switch in the Psychic Energy, but, I mean, you really can't Star Requiem the Sableye because you're just going to get lost impacted back. And here's a big opportunity and a big top deck there for Sam. Finds Boss's Orders off the top of the deck. But is there a way, now that the Psychic Energy is on this Sableye, with 2 in the Lost Zone, there's only 1 more left in the deck, and I'm not sure that that is available. This is getting super close down to the wire here, Kyle.
Yeah, there's some interesting choices to be made here. If you lost mine, take a knockout on one low HP Pokemon and set up another one, you're threatening the game in 2 different ways. You set up 1 more Lost Mine, wins the game, or just knocking out a Giratina V, that wins the game as well. So I have to imagine we'll see another Lost Mine here. You could take a riskier line where you just put 6 damage counters on a Manaphy and a Comfey and say, okay, if I Lost Mine 1 more time, I get a 3 prize turn and I win the game. That one can backfire. So we'll see what Sam decides to do. I have to imagine we'll see Lost Mine, but where do the damage counters go?
You can still use Flower Selecting. Take a look at 2 cards. It's going to be Colress, so that had to be a really... Oh.
Tough choice.
Yeah, tough choice there. It wasn't Colress. It's better than Colress? Just another Colress. 2 Colresses. maybe 2 Colresses isn't great here, though, for Sam, because one's got to go.
Ooh, Boss's Orders, huge here as well. That'll make things even more difficult for John, having that hefty retreat cost Pokemon stuck in the active spot.
I'll Lost Mine, 7 here.
1 Comfey is going to go down, and then we'll see 2 more Pokemon, or at least 1 more setup to be knocked out on the next turn.
Yeah, it's weird. I'd love to see the rest of the damage counters be placed on Manaphy, since it's a Pokemon that doesn't benefit from something like Switch Cart.
Yes.
But it's just going to be putting 2 damage counters on all of these Pokemon, saying, listen, if you've got 1 Switch Cart, it doesn't matter. I'm still going to be able to take knockouts on all these remaining Pokemon. And here we go. Sam has entered into not a checkmate board, but a really, really strong board. 2 different ways to win the game. Star Requiem, V-Star Power has yet to be used, and Lost Mine is another potential. Now, John does have the switch that was taken from those previous 3 flower selecting abilities. The question here is, what attack can you even use? Your Cramorant's gone in the discard pile. You've already burned a Sableye. And another incredibly tough choice. The only remaining card of a copy of Super Rod and Roxanne, both cards that you'd love to play this turn. But if you're not playing Super Rod, then what is your attacker of choice? And if you're not playing Roxanne, then you've got to assume your opponent has it. They just played Colress last turn. And it is going to be the Roxanne chosen instead of the Super Rod.
Yeah, you can attack with Giratina V-Star. Your opponent still needs to find a Psychic Energy to win.
Yeah, but that's such a... I guess that's all you can do here if you're John. It's not a great out to play to, but...
if you don't knock out this Sableye, you just lose immediately.
Yeah.
You got to do something.
It's tough. I didn't know there was a Colress's experiment there either, so... Just valuing that disruption aspect, it seems, over potentially... Yeah, I guess just valuing that. And I think this is a smart play the more I think about this. You're going to Star Requiem, and you're going to pretty much put your opponent on 3 cards to work with, right? You need to find either the Psychic Energy just straight off those 2 cards, or you need to find a pivoting card and a Psychic Energy. So here we go. Roxanne on John's side being played, so Sam will feel the pain of what he instilled upon John a few turns ago. And now Sam put in a position where he's got to clutch up off these 2 cards. John still needs to find a pretty sizable card. I didn't realize the Psychic Energy didn't come down onto this Giratina V. Is there a way to pivot out of the active?
Got the Mirage Gate.
But I don't know if there's energy cards available at this point.
Yeah,
We're
I think
going to
there's
see
one
here with this
grass
Nest
left.
Ball. Oh, there is.
And a Jet.
There is a Jet Energy, so that means after this Star Requiem, the Jet Energy will be the only out available in the deck to allow this Giratina V-Star to attack.
I think there was an energy in the prize cards.
It's at the top, though, the top 2, so I don't know if that will be one of the cards drawn. I don't think it will, with John still being at 3 prize cards. So I think that card might be locked away for the rest of the game.
Yeah, so it looks like John will get the knockout here. Go down to 2 prize cards, and then it's a simple question. Does Sam find a Psychic Energy to use Star Requiem to win the game? If you're John, this is all you got left. You don't love doing this, but it's not over by any means. So here we go. This is going to be V-Star Power, knock out that Sableye, and does Sam have a Psychic Energy to win the game?
Mirage Gate off the top. Is there 2 energy available? There's the water and the psychic energy, and that will be what Sam needs to Star Requiem this Giratina V-Star. What a back and forth game, but Sam is going up 1-0 here in this final match.
Yep. Roxanne, definitely the difference maker in that one. Just too many turns for John in the middle of the game where nothing happened. Was able to put together some kind of game plan to have a chance, but the odds were pretty high for Sam to draw out of it at the end. But great way to kick off our finals.
If this tells us anything about how back and forth and exciting this match is going to be, I don't know what would. It felt like John was super dominant early on. Sam pulled things back, and then when John seemed almost out of it, a slimmer of hope was able to push himself into a position where Sam had to find those cards. It was all on John early on. We saw the Lost Impact take the knockout, going down to 3 prizes, but 3 prize cards is the danger zone when it comes to playing this mirror match. Entering into Roxanne range, Sam pulling the tide into his favor and setting up this win condition where if Sableye wasn't knocked out, game was on board, and if it was, the Giratina would be there to clutch the game out, and Sam brought the Comfey up, didn't have the energy in hand, and top decked it for turn in that Mirage Gate. Excellently played by both players, Sam clutching it out, and this is a nail-biter for a mirror match. Truly, that game felt like a 50-50 game.
Yeah, a couple key moments in that match. John did miss the turn 1 attack with the Cramorant going second. That ended up with him not having any open bench spots, limited his options moving forward. So kind of a big ripple effect for missing that early switching card to get into the Cramorant. You spit innocently, get the first knockout. And then just lots of little things happen from there. Sam had a rough start, but battled back, and you can see just how kind of volatile this matchup can be. It's unpredictable what happens as you get later in the game. You can only prepare for what your opponent is going to do so much. Eventually, it's going to come down to, somebody's going to play a Roxanne, an Iono, and you just got to hope that you can piece together a win.
Ooh, double Super Rod in the prizes for Sam. That's not what you want to see. And an interesting choice from John here, making Sam go first in game 2. Kyle, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, I think it's totally reasonable. If you can get the Cramorant attack turn 1, it's a big advantage, it feels like. So sure, you think on average you probably get the turn 1 attack. And if you don't, well, maybe you just weren't meant to win this tournament.
Didn't want it hard enough. That's usually my takeaway.
Yeah.
Sam's still starting off with a pretty solid first couple of cards in hand. Do see Flower selecting, putting that escape rope in the lost zone, and Nest Ball can fetch out any of these basic Pokemon. I'm sure we'll see another Comfey coming down into play. Saw Giratina V in the hand. All solid cards to have. Battle VIP Pass, of course, is that big card that jumps out. Of course, you always want to play that on turn 1, get those basic Pokemon into play. But besides that, a lot of it is on John going second to really capitalize on sort of that advantage you get in this matchup by taking the first prize.
Yeah, and if you're John in this situation, an important thing to do is forget everything that just happened in the first game. It's really easy to get in a situation where you kind of beat yourself up, wonder, what could I have done differently? What if I had done this? If only I'd drawn that. You just have to forget it all and focus, recalibrate for the second game. If you waste your mental energy thinking about what could have happened in the first game, you're not going to be as focused and locked in this one. So it's difficult to do sometimes, especially you're on the stage. It's a high pressure match, but that's what you got to do. Just stay focused on the task at hand.
Another Flower selecting here from Sam. What is the choice? What options are available? Is the Jet Energy going to the Lost Zone, valuing keeping Radiant Greninja? It's an interesting card that, once a Path to Peak comes in play, the card is no more besides potentially dealing some attacking damage with the Moonlit Shuriken, but we're going to see that hit the bench, which is really interesting to see that bench right away when you're not really getting any value from it that turn, and I guess it's just huge incentive for John to just play Path and shut that out, but here we go, though. John does find Colress's Experiment off of this first Flower selecting, and yeah, the hand was looking actually really poor besides that.
Yeah,
so,
no kidding.
This is a pretty big bailout here for John. Let's see these 5 cards off this Colress's Experiment. This is where having to grab Comfey as your selections off Colress really come back to hurt you, because you already put a Lost Zone, you already Lost Zoned energy there off that Flower selecting. what can you afford to get rid of when it comes to these 5 cards? You want to keep the Sableye, you want to
there's
keep the
only one.
Comfey, and the Escape Rope, sure, that can go. I understand that, but it's kind of choosing which energy you want to get rid of. And for John, it's going to be limiting his options at Moonlight Shuriken, getting rid of the water energy, keeping those other cards. Keep his pressure up, though. It does have Nest Ball and Jet Energy, so this time it's here for John.
I think
Turn
we
one
got to
Cramorant.
find a Battle VIP pass or a Nest Ball or something to get the Cramorant.
I think there's a Nest Ball in hand. I think we're covered here.
Yep, looks like it.
Yeah, but the problem with just benching Cramorant is without having Giratina V in play, it's not going to be able to be evolved into a V-Star until 2 turns from now.
Which that can be okay.
It can be okay. It's just you kind of start, if you don't find these basics off Battle VIP Pass, you have to start valuing Nest Ball more when you're flower selecting things. And we see, even with getting a bunch of basics down turn 1, how tough these flower selectings have been for John in this game. So this is the choice now for John. Do you value the turn 1 attack and taking prizes, or do you value maybe setting your board up? But it just, as we've been talking about, it's just such an incentive to just take prize cards, put aggression on, and put Sam in a position where next turn he's forced to respond, or John's just going to continue pushing his aggression.
John could take what might be considered a pretty crazy risk here and grab Radiant Greninja and concealed cards for 2 and try to draw into something good here. I got to imagine we'll just see the Cramorant. One interesting thing, so yeah, Sam doesn't play Manaphy, knows John does play Manaphy. And he knows that a Path to the Peak is going to come down, that Radiant Greninja isn't going to get a lot of value. But what it will do is force John to put Manaphy onto the bench. And later on, that can be an easy Sableye target for Lost Mine. So it's kind of like, yeah, this isn't going to do anything, but it's also going to clog up your bench when you put down Manaphy. So it's kind of a wash. And I end up with a Pokemon with 130 HP. Also, if you Escape Rope, it gives me something to promote that can take a hit from Cramorant. But no attack from John 2 games in a row on turn 1.
Yeah, grabbing the Giratina V instead of the Sableye, and Sam starting things off right away with the Colress's Experiment. Looking at 5 cards. Easy choice to throw away the Path to the Peak. Kind of want to keep the Colress and the Giratina. I think the choice here for Sam, you've already gotten rid of one of those Jet Energy. I mean, Colress, you don't necessarily need it. You have it in hand, but you've always got to consider Roxanne, and leaving yourself with as many good draws to have as possible is always a plus.
Yeah, each one of these decisions off of Colress's Experiment, flower selecting, both players seem like they're in agony every time, and I think it just sums up trying to play this deck, trying to figure out what the best lines of plays are.
Yeah, just sit here playing Miraidon. I'm just grabbing my Pokemon and looking at my 5 cards.
Play
I'm
my
playing
generator.
Ampy very much, and my opponent's out here.
Did I hit Lightning Energy?
Making
No.
calculation.
Okay, on to the next game.
Rare Candy Charizard, as Azul said.
Yeah.
So you can kind of tell a little bit about these players by their deck choice. And maybe some of them enjoy thinking a little bit harder. Maybe some, it's really they'll do whatever it takes to get this win, especially when they're so close. It's paying off for them well. We'll see. Boss's Order is a super powerful card in this matchup. It's the Lost Zone. So Sam really valuing some other pieces. And finally, an easy choice will be Battle VIP Pass going away. Does get that second Giratina and the Cramorant on Sam's side. So even though John went second, Sam is still the first one to strike in Game 2, taking a prize card on this Comfey, removing this Jet Energy out of play as well. And John's in a situation where this hand is not doing a lot for him. Can't play this Roxanne. You've got a few V-Star, but oh, and this is another tough choice for John. This
Every single one.
This Manaphy is coming up at the worst possible times. And I think John might have to make a decision here on what he cares about more. Does he care about going in with Giratina V and maybe Abyss Seeking? I don't know if there's any other option for him. I think that's the biggest issue. I mean, look at this hand. It's double Giratina V-Star, 2 Grass Energy, 2 supporters that don't do anything, and a switch. So if you're John, what do you even want to accomplish this turn? If you don't do anything, Cramorant's just going to take another prize card.
Yeah, might have to Abyss Seeking. One thing to call out, so John plays 3 Water Energy. 1 is in the Lost Zone, 1 is actually in the prize cards as well. So he will not be able to use Radiant Greninja as an attacker. So Sam, showing why maybe you don't have to play Manaphy in this matchup.
And just a pass, protecting that Comfey. It's all John needs to keep this hand alive. Manaphy in play will guarantee the Comfey is safe. Sam is benched out, and this is just a tough choice. I mean, it's got to be Manaphy here, right? You've got to give that one prize up. You spent so hard to save it, right? You got rid of that jet energy. You will be able to bring it back with something like Super Rod later on. So we do see another Battle VIP pass hitting the Lost Zone, and Sam has hit that first checkpoint. 7 cards in the Lost Zone means Mirage Gate is turned on. There is also a Giratina V-Star in hand, so Sam will just go ahead and play this Mirage Gate, get some of these energy cards out, even considering grabbing the water energy out of the deck to just put on one of these Giratina Vs so that it's an easy choice to throw away later on with the Lost Impact attack. But Sam is in full control here in game number 2.
Sure seems like it. I mean, if you're John, you're just trying to figure out where's the opening? Where can I come back in this one? And it looks pretty bleak because it's only 5 cards in the Lost Zone. His hand looks horrendous. You're still not even in range where you can use Roxanne. But is there some kind of opportunity for Sam to do? Oh, boy.
I think Sam has a boss's orders in hand, and he does. Can bring up this Giratina V-Star, the only one in play for John. And even though he's entering Roxanne range, why does it matter if you're just taking the only threat off John's board? John left with nothing but just a Comfey in play, and that Colress's Experiment would have been a great card the previous turn to help John get set up, but with Roxanne being alive, I mean, that's the only card you've got to play at this point. And so, while it's John playing the first Roxanne in this matchup, the big difference is his board is nowhere near what Sam's board looked like when Sam got Roxanne in game 1.
Yeah, and there's just not enough cards in the Lost Zone to respond with a big turn. Now, it's not over by any means. You know, Sam is going to be stuck with the Giratina V-Star in the active with just 1 energy. There's a chance, you know, you could just draw into some bad cards here and not do anything for a little bit. And that's what John has to hope for in this situation. We're still going to need a big turn from John. He needs to start getting something set up here, whether that's getting down, you know, a new Giratina V, set up an attacker. I don't know. He needs something here. But at this point, you just kind of got to hope that your opponent draws some bad cards.
And another just...
or maybe you can just continue to keep putting your good cards in the Lost Zone.
Yeah, no Giratina V is the big thing that John is unable to get down. Not even something like... I mean, Kramer wouldn't even do anything here. There's no reason to damage this Giratina V-Star, and it's just going to be a pass back over to Sam. Put on 2 cards. What are the 2 cards in hand?
See a counter catcher, a nest ball, and looks like a grass energy. So will Sam retreat? Yeah. Just going to go into the Cramorant, spit innocently. Okay. That does signal that his hand is pretty weak. So if John can finally respond with something here, maybe, just maybe, there's an opening.
Finally, a nice, easy choice here off of this Colress's Experiment. Battle VIP pass. Comfey leaving play.
I feel like it's got to be Sableye carrying John at this point, right?
I guess you have to, like, Sableye knock out the Cramorant just like Sam did in that first game, and then just hope your opponent doesn't have a Sableye of their own or a way to bring back this Cramorant.
Pair it with a counter catcher, bring up Giratina V-Star again, put your opponent in an awkward position. One thing to note, you know, Giratina V-Star, since it's not a basic Pokemon, you can't use Switch Cart to move it out of the active spot.
And we do see that Escape Rope is in the Lost Zone, so there's only the 1 copy of...
I think 1 was played as well, right?
Yeah, and I think there's only 1 copy of switching this deck for Sam, so...
There's Jet Energy, of course, to get out of there, but...
Yeah. Options are limited for sure. We've already seen a few hit play. Here we go for John. Just going to get these energy cards out of play. See Mirage Gate, bring the energy onto Giratina V, and this is it for John. John's got to put together some sort of way to climb back in this game. Sam is out of boss's orders. That is something to note. We did see 1 put in the Lost Zone and 1 put into the discard pile. So I don't think there's a way for him to close the game out this turn, but it's just dealing with the current threat. Option number 1 is Sableye. And I think the choice here for John is, do you value using this counter catcher aggressively? And I think you have to, like you said, Kyle. Bringing Giratina V-Star up and just hoping it sticks for long enough in the active spot.
And we do see, a Mirage Gate for Sam in hand, along with the Psychic Energy. But how much energy is left in the deck?
There's only one Psychic Energy.
Okay. There's a chance.
So you're saying there's a chance, Kyle?
That is what I said, yeah.
Yeah. So I think the question here for Sam is, it's so tough. Do you burn this Mirage Gate and attach for turn just to retreat into Comfey and see some more cards?
It's a tough choice. I think it depends on how many Mirage Gates you have left. I mean, if you can draw into a Colress's Experiment and kind of fill your hand back up, that feels like a pretty good situation to be in, but oof. I mean, that's another Mirage Gate down. That's another energy down. Sam did have, both Super Rod prized to start this game. I think it's probably gotten both of them at this point.
Yeah, Pokegear and Grass Energy are the last two prizes. So it's going to be that one Psychic Energy put onto this active Giratina V-Star. So I think down to just 2 Mirage Gate left in the deck. Does still have those options available for later on, and both Super Rod are still there. Oof. There it is. Double Psychic Energy retreated, so no more Psychic Energy in the deck. Here we go. 2 cards off Flower Selecting. Was this trade-off worth it? Quick send of the Lost Zone Battle VIP Pass. And it is the Colress's Experiment. So a huge risk for Sam, paying off dividends. And look at these cards, too. Finds Jet Energy, some...
Well, the Mirage Gates don't do anything.
Well, not right now, they don't, but Jet Energy can allow you to... I mean, you can't play that this turn. You've already played the Psychic Energy, so...
I mean, that's a good setup for next turn, but nothing's going to happen this turn. John's going to get, I think... Oh, no, there was already attached.
Yeah. We're just going to see the pass, so John does get an extra turn. And my question is, does John have a way to maybe play another Roxanne? Does find a second one, and I think at this point with the Water Energy in the Lost Zone and the Water Energy on this Giratina V, we will see Radiant Greninja go to the Lost Zone. There is an attachment for turn. We could see this Giratina V-Star get that Psychic Energy attached. I think that's a great way to just threaten a lot of damage next turn.
Yeah, I feel like you might as well attach that.
Yeah. I think the question here for John, though, is how do you want to spread this damage? Take a knockout on either of these Comfey, and then do you want to just dump the rest on the bench? Do you want to put some damage counters on Radiant Greninja so it can be knocked out by Cramorant at some point? So let's see what the choice is.
You got 6 there. Where does the other 6 go? This game all of a sudden got pretty close. Now, Sam did kind of accidentally reveal, does have a Jet Energy. So John knows he's not completely safe, but a Path to the Peak is the draw for the turn. That's another useless card. Flower Selecting, let's see what it finds. Doesn't look very happy.
Oh, it's a Jet Energy and a Roxanne. I feel like you've got to just get rid of the Jet Energy. I mean, the good thing is, the scary part here for John, though, is if John wants to use Sableye again, not only will he put himself in Roxanne range, but he's going to go to odd prize cards, and we see that having odd prizes in this matchup is just tough.
Abyss Seeking. Is John about to make a massive comeback here? Sam's not out of it yet, but we know that John held on to a Roxanne. If he can just Star Requiem this turn, just lost impact the last Giratina V-Star. I mean, he's going to have to find a boss's orders.
Yeah.
John could take a slower approach. Play the Roxanne, use Lost Mine, and you don't have to take a prize card here. You can Lost Mine and kind of set up the Greninja and the Comfey for a future turn. There's lots of different ways to go about this. This is the extremely tricky moment.
Yeah, there's so many options, because if you Lost Mine, then you leave the Jet Energy on the Giratina V, so then it's pretty much like an extra turn, right, to just use Abyss Seeking and look at 4 cards. So here we go, Psychic Energy down. We're playing Roxanne number 2. We'll see if what held true in Game 1, the first player to play Roxanne, winning the match. So John playing the second copy, players shuffling in. John will find 6 cards, 2 cards for Sam. What do these cards warrant? Is there anything like boss's orders for John on the following turn? Not sure there's much. There is a Super Rod, but there's no basic energy in the discard pile, so that's not an option. Can put 1 in the discard pile by retreating this Sableye. So
I feel like you just kind of got to go for it.
Yeah.
Use the Star Requiem, take a knockout, go down to 2 prize cards. I mean, your opponent's going to go down to 2 cards. They've already used a Mirage Gate, and you saw they only got 1 energy. You see the energy in the lost zone. There's a bunch in the discard pile. The combination of cards your opponent would need to beat you on the following turn is so high.
Yeah,
I feel like you just press your advantage here and hope for the best.
And you're going to have so many ways to win next turn because with that 5 damage counters in the Comfey, if your opponent wants to use multiple flower selectings, then you can always just retreat into your Sableye and finish the game off with 2 prize cards with Lost Mine. So we'll see if John maybe wants to retreat and then reuse a Mirage Gate to put this energy on the Sableye so that if Sam finds a Roxanne, then that's a potential option. So
Star Requiem down to 2 prize cards for John. He was way behind in this game, but now things have gotten close, and another Chorus's Experiment is found, but also a Pokegear.
So this is interesting. I feel like you don't want to see supporter cards off of these 5 cards for Sam if you can just...
Well, do you dig for the Roxanne?
Well, that's true. I think it's good to play this regardless, whether or not you're playing Chorus or not, because you just want to take supporter cards out. 7 cards. Do we see the Roxanne? No, but there is another Chorus's Experiment. And here we go. If Sam can find a combination of an energy card, Mirage Gate, and a Super Rod, Star Requiem can be used over on Sam's side. Has yet to use that V-Star power. And those will be the last 2 prize cards for Sam, and he will become a regional champion.
Flower selecting going to be the first choice. Do we see anything relevant in these 2 cards?
And yeah, you really can't bench this Comfey because you're just inviting
Countercatcher.
a Sableye to come in. Is this going to be the counter catcher? And so this is it. This is what it comes down to. 5 cards off Chorus's Experiment. Do we see a way for this Giratina V-Star to attack? There's Super Rod, but no Mirage Gate in this hand.
Can go fishing, but he can't go find it.
Well put, well put. So I think the question here for Sam is, yeah, you don't even want to bench the Comfey because you can't retreat into it. So we're just going to see Super Rod get played. This can put the energy cards back into the deck if we see something like Iono come down. It's just going to be, or actually John is not playing any copies of Iono. An interesting choice in this list. Both players actually not playing any copies of Iono, so it's just going to be the Roxanne in terms of disruption, bringing back the energy that Giratina V-Star needs to attack.
Yeah, this is where it's going to get weird. I mean, if you're John, you can take a 1 prize knockout, but then you give your opponent access to counter catcher. Obviously, if John draws boss's orders, the game ends immediately, but there's still some tough decisions ahead for both of these players.
It's a cat and mouse game, back and forth. You see Giratina V go down, and John does not have the boss's orders.
Yeah,
you
heard
see just
Sam ask, do you have the boss? John said no.
how many are left in deck? There's 1 copy of boss's orders.
There's not even a basic.
This is just tough for John. Now, a cool play that John can do is John can use Lost Mine this turn and not take any prize cards and just set damage up on this Greninja and Comfey so that you're not activating Counter Catcher and you're leaving a 1 prize Pokemon in the active spot. And I think that's your best bet here if you're John. Now, of course, if you can dig a little bit before that and give yourself the option to find boss, it's all in your favor. But wow, what a back and forth series this has been so far. A game that 3 turns ago, if you told me John still had a shot, I wouldn't have believed you.
You never know what can happen in these Giratina V-Star mirror matches. The end of the game is just so tricky. Now, if John has a way to switch out in this situation, I have to wonder if it's better to just go with flower selecting, try to build up your hand, and try to just eventually draw into the boss's orders to win. You can put on some pressure with the Lost Mine. I don't know. Is it better to just sit there and force your opponent to do something?
I think a small misplay there from John. If John decided to retreat before playing that Super Rod, could have brought back an additional 2 energy cards to just have those as resources in the deck. But by using this Super Rod, only bringing back 1 energy. So, I mean, it still doesn't really make a huge difference because the Giratina retreats, and as long as there's 1 more energy attachment, it's fine. But I'm not sure it's going to make too big of a difference. But as sort of Azul said, 1 small micro decision, 1 small error, and that could cost the game. So here we go. Pokegear, 7 cards. Is there boss?
Oh.
And there is a boss's orders that can bring up Giratina V or V-Star, take the knockout, and we're going to a game 3 here, Kyle.
John Eng fighting for his tournament life here in the finals, claws all the way back. A game where he was so far behind and looked like he had very little chance. But Roxanne, once again, is the game changer, and nobody with a lead is safe, Ethan.
Well, in game 1, Sam was the first player to play Roxanne. In game 2, John was the first player to play Roxanne. Is that the key of the first person to put their opponent on the back foot, make them stumble a little bit, maybe overextend some resources like Sam did at that game number 1? I mean, the early game was just all Sam, right? After Giratina V-Star, John had to make a desperate play here of just bringing this Giratina V-Star up into the active with Boss's orders. And I mean, the Cramorant took the knockout, but John was ready, had the Sableye, return knocked out this Pokemon, and it was just turn after turn of Sam just not having the pieces necessary to put on attacks or get these last 2 prize cards. Was so close to the finish line, but just out of those resources necessary.
Yeah, and just based on how this match has gone so far, the key to winning the matchup is just to draw poorly at the beginning. And then late in the game, you'll draw everything you need, and your opponent will, at any point in the match, somebody has to be drawing poorly, so you want to be the one to draw bad first.
And this was it here. 7 cards off Pokegear and found the Boss's orders. That was one of the craziest comebacks I've ever seen on stream, let alone in the finals here of Portland Regionals.
Yeah, and it was very easy at any point for John to just get super frustrated, give up, but no. Kept battling through, kept trying to find any possible way to win the match, and that's why you do it. That's why you stick in there and try to take any opportunity your opponent gives you. Sometimes it works out. And now we have one game to decide it all here in Portland. The winner of this final single game will be champion.
We have been treated to some excellent finals here so far in the last month. What a great way to kick off the new year. Excellent Pokemon TCG. Sam will be going second this game. We'll have to see what everything looks like. The prize cards, opening hands, everything counts in this winner-take-all final match.
Can't wait.
2 Colress in the prizes, 2 Giratina V.
Well, we had 2 good games, Ethan.
These are bad for both of these players.
Oh, the 2 Giratina V.
And a big top vector for John finds Battle VIP Pass on the top. I mean, he's going to be treated to some pretty bad news here that the remaining Giratina V are unavailable, but this is exactly what you want to see here in this final game for John.
I'm not even going to try to figure out what's going to happen next.
Look at John's reaction. He's like, are you kidding me, man?
Yeah.
Is this how it's going to go down? What a finals for the ages here, Kyle.
Yep. They say keep Portland weird, and we certainly are. Okay, now if you're John, yep, you got to remain flexible. Figure out what can you do here. There's only one Giratina V. John doesn't know that those other 2 Giratina V are the top 2 prize cards. He'll likely never see them this game. And there's no Hisuian Heavy Ball in the deck list to fetch those out. So this might be a leaner game plan. Maybe Radiant Greninja will finally come into play as an attacker. I don't know. This is one of those situations where you find out what's prized. You go, okay, this has got to be a different game plan. What can I do?
It's all right.
Starting things out pretty solid. Does have the switch cart. And here we go. Flower selecting.
Oh, Battle VIP Pass.
Yeah, but you'd have to pitch away a Super Rod, and John now knows that with those Giratina, it's fine. Yeah, I also want to throw my last game in the regional championships here as well.
I mean, it depends on what your hand is. If you can't play the game, then
this John's Comfey may be the most evil Comfey I have ever seen in the Giratina. It's just giving him puzzle after puzzle in terms of bad cards, or good cards rather, that need to be thrown away to the lost zone. This is just the duality of Comfey between both of these players. I don't even know what you do here if you're John. Do you really have to get rid of this Super Rod and decides to? I mean, the Battle VIP Pass is a strong card. Is it stronger than attacking with Giratina V-Star for the rest of the game? I mean, you still got 1 copy left, but you've got to find it.
Well, John just grabbed another Comfey and the Manaphy straight away. I feel like this may be a little bit like preemptive. You know, you don't need to go for it until your opponent is able to threaten Radiant Greninja. And, you know, we're I think past the days where people are getting turn 1 Mirage Gates and things like that.
It's so bad, too, because I didn't even, the 2 Giratina V prize didn't
And
even
the
make me realize
Cramorant.
that Cramorant is also in the prizes. So John can't even grab Cramorant out either to attack.
Yeah, that's why I think John might need to go for the Radiant Greninja here.
No way,
Of
Sam
course.
opened one of his 2 Colress's Experiment in the deck with 2 being prized. And that is an incredible opening. And finds the last Colress's Experiment in his 5 cards. Are you kidding me?
Let's hope he doesn't put that one in the lost zone. He hasn't had a chance to search his deck yet.
He doesn't know. I mean, look at how many switching cards are in this hand. What can you afford to get rid of? I mean,
The Path to the Peak is the first one that goes in.
yeah, of course. But it's Escape Roper,
Right?
switch card.
Right?
Hopefully. Don't do this to us, Sam, please. Don't do this to us.
Oh, no.
Was he thinking about it? Wait,
What was
which
it?
one? Oh, no, he kept the Colress.
Okay.
Yeah, but the big problem here is there's no basic Pokemon in this hand. Just has to sit here with this
Hold
active
on.
and Abyss Seeking. What kind
Hold
of a
on.
game 3 is this?
John went aggressive and put 3 cards in the lost zone on the first turn. I mean, he might only need 1 Giratina V. If he can power up Giratina V-Star with a Mirage Gate, this game's over.
Mirage Gate. Oh, that might be there. Mirage Gate, Jet Energy. If he can Flower Selecting 2 times and still have the energy cards needed, this
Got a
could be.
switch too, yeah.
It has the Jet Energy and switch. So, John, keeping his tempo.
Does he have the Giratina V-Star in hand?
He does. He has the Giratina V-Star.
Is this how it all ends?
Is this how we're going to end this tournament?
Wait.
Oh, that's so awkward,
Does
though.
he have any Psychic left in his deck?
I don't know if he does.
Oh, this is not going to end easily, is it?
Switch is going to bring this Comfey. Let's see if the energies are here. No energy cards off of this, so John will check the deck with his nest ball. Let's see how many energy cards are
Okay,
there.
there's the
Psychic,
grass.
water, grass, all the pieces are there.
This is
Jet
the moment.
Energy.
John Eng has been working for so long to get that big win, and here it is, Mirage Gate, gonna power up Giratina V-Star, and John Eng is the Portland Regional Champion.
What an incredible finish. He's finally done it after being so close for so long. In a crazy comeback in Game 2, John Eng has finally taken home a tournament and is your regional champion in Portland, Oregon.
Wow,
He
what can
can't
you
even
say
believe
about that?
it. He can't even believe it.
I can't either.
I can't either.
That might be the most improbable win we've ever seen. From completely out of it to a turn 2 win in the 3rd game. Congratulations to John. Never gave up. I mean, incredible. Just incredible.
I'm at a loss for words here. What a set, Kyle. Back and forth. And congratulations to
We should
John.
come to Portland more often.
Should we? I don't know if I can take this again, Kyle. This is too much for me.
Giratina V-Star wins 2 seasons in a row here in Portland. Last year, the Arceus Giratina fueled by the Squavit. This year, the Lost Zone Giratina in one of the craziest matches you will ever see in the Pokemon TCG. I mean, these 2 players put on a show. Congratulations to Sam on 2nd place. An excellent run throughout the tournament, played extremely well. But geesh, this was John's tournament to win. After so many times, you know, he made it to top 8, top 4 of regionals, top 4 of an international championships, was always stopped short of that big win, made it to the finals of a regionals. This was finally his moment. Things finally fell his way. Congratulations.
This is one of the best finals matches I have ever seen in the Pokemon TCG. For all of you watching, this is the treat you guys aren't going to forget. Back and forth Game 1, we saw Sam take the knockout, brought himself down to 2 thanks to that Mirage Gate, and this is where it seemed almost improbable. Sam burning those resources, attacked with the Cramorant, and John was able to just buy enough time, taking knockouts with the Sableye, bringing up this Giratina V-Star. That's up there for one of the craziest comebacks we have ever seen in the Pokemon TCG.
Just wild. Yeah, no lead was safe in this matchup. The player who kind of took the advantage early on in the first 2 games somehow managed to lose. The hand disruption from Roxanne, devastating for both sides. Sheesh. Just a crazy set of games. Even, you know, Game 2, John finds the boss's orders off of that Pokegear 3.0. And then to end it all, 2 Giratina V prized. The Cramorant prized does not matter because John goes aggressively and is able to turn to Mirage Gate, power up Giratina V-Star, and take a knockout to become champion.
And that is the reaction of a champion indeed. He cannot believe what just happened in that set.
I can't either.
I don't know what to say here. What just happened? What did I just watch?
You just watched John Heng win his first regional championship. That's what it takes for him to win.
Did it in style for sure. You know what? I got to give him credit. He made it exciting, and wow, what a way to kick off the new year. If that has anything to say for what 2024 Pokemon TCG is going to bring us, I don't know if my heart can take it here, Kyle. I don't know if I can take this.
I want to see that every time. Those are the matches that keep you coming back to the Pokemon TCG, right? Those are the nail biters, the ones where you don't know what's going to happen next. That's the kind of stuff that makes you love the game.
My love has increased. I didn't think it could more. I'm a believer now, maybe. The Giratina haters, they might finally be silenced.
Yeah, we saw the highs and the lows of Giratina V-Star in that match.
This was like,
we ended on a high, though.
This was like Giratina V's origin story. It was like struggle with success. It was down low, and I mean, look at Giratina here. First and second place, having an incredible tournament. Final standings here. John Heng taking home his first regional win. Sam as well, getting another strong finish with this Lost Zone Giratina deck and a whole variety of decks. And my favorite part walking away from all this is it's not just one deck dominating. There's so many different deck types, archetypes, close matches we saw on stream. And we're going to be seeing even more to come in our upcoming Pokemon events.
Yeah, John and Sam also had a pretty tough road into the finals. You know, you look at the top 8 and you see Azul and Ian Robb, and both those players have multiple regional championship victories. You have to think, oh, these are the two favorites to win the tournament when we get to this point. But in the first round of top 8, John knocks out Azul, Sam knocks out Ian. Eventually, John and Sam collide in the finals. I mean, they both had a tough path to get here. Just a crazy way to finish off an incredible weekend here in Portland. Congratulations once again to John Heng. Can't say it enough. I mean, just a player who's been consistently grinding at these tournaments for years. Made top cuts, but just never had that one big break go his way. If you keep at it, keep trying, keep practicing, hey, sometimes good things do happen.
Finishing 9-0 day one and converting that to a perfect final result. The champion here in Portland. Congratulations to all of our competitors. And geez, Sean must be going through a whirlwind of emotions right now.
Oh, yeah. Can't even imagine. Yeah, I mean, you could see the emotions even going through that match. I think both players clearly had frustrating moments. I'm sure there were several moments in the second game where John thought, this is it. It's over. You know, another tournament where I fall short. But kept fighting. And then, you know, you get to the third game and you look through your deck for the first time and you're just like, okay, well, this is how I lose. But no, it all worked out. Giratina V-Star lost Impact for the win.
None of this is real, Kyle. I'm in a dream right now. I need to wake up. What time is it? I just can't even believe what happened. As we take a look at our bracket, how things played out, so much exciting action. This was a treat of a tournament. We saw new players, old players, new decks. From our Paradox Rift expansion, old favorites come in. I mean, Giratina V-Star is one of our first things that we had going on, and this was the turn where I think John realized. He was like, okay, if I have the Psychic Energy left in my deck, I've got it.
As long as I don't screw this up.
Got rid of the Water Energy as long as it was still there.
Yeah, I mean that's a heart-stopping moment too, right? If you don't remember how many Psychic Energy you have prized, like having one in your hand means you can't Mirage Gate out of your deck.
Yeah, and if John found a Psychic Energy off that last flower selecting, he wouldn't have been able to use the Mirage Gate.
Exactly,
but
yeah.
Had the exact pieces. That was... I'm still reeling from that one. That was just an incredible series, and I'm going to be thinking about that one on my plane ride home and for maybe the next couple days and weeks and months, and it's just a great game overall.
Absolutely. That's why we love watching these events. Love watching these matches between some of the best players in the Pokemon TCG. You never know what's going to happen. You know, we've been talking to different players throughout the weekend. Players like Dan Hugar are saying no two games with Giratina are the same. Weird stuff happens every time. You have to adapt on the fly to what's prized, what's being put in the lost zone, what your opponent is doing. And I think we saw that from both players, kind of adapting mid-match and like, oh, I'm out of this resource, my opponent has done this, now I need to, take a different line of play. So it's always interesting to watch. It's hard to predict how those are going to turn out, but it's been fun to watch.
And what a weekend it's been, Kyle. It's been an honor casting with you. I've had
Yeah.
such a fun time. But I think
we're representing the ancient in the future here.
Of course, maybe we'll see some more ancient future Pokemon take the spotlight. But for now, it's Giratina V-Star, and I think it's time to recognize our two finalists. Adam Watson is down on the stage, ready to congratulate our first and second place players. Let's throw it down to him.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the main stage where we just saw a nail-biting finals go down here at the Portland Regional Championships. We are going to give our players the recognition they are due. So welcome to the stage, your finalist, Sam Hough. Welcome, welcome. That was a fantastic best of three. Very, very nail-biting stuff. And now you're here on the big stage. How are you feeling after taking second place at such a big tournament?
Surprised. No, just kidding. No, I'm good. It's my one tournament of the year, and I did really way beyond my expectations, so I'm really excited. I lost to my friend, so I'm really excited for him. It's his first big regional win, so it's really been close so many times, so it's good to see him win.
That is honestly great to hear that you were able to put all of your love and energy into this one event. And, if you're going to lose, it has to be to the homie. Any final thoughts or anybody you want to give a quick shout out to while I've got you here in the big spotlight?
I'd like to thank Giratina V-Star. It's a really good deck.
Short and sweet. Giratina is a good deck. We've heard it time and time again. I want to thank you once more, and good luck in the future for your Pokemon journey. Thank you, Sam. But we still have one more player to recognize, folks. Big round of applause for your Portland Regional Champion, John Ang. Wow, John, this has been a long time coming for you. I know that you have so many things you want to tell the people. Let them know how excited you are.
I've got no words. I'm ecstatic. This was like a long time coming. I think this is like my 12th top 8 at a major event in Masters and my first win, so I've been really gunning for it for a long time. I still have no clue what's going on, to be honest with you. That game was like a fever dream.
When you are playing such a complex deck over 2 days of competition, every other Giratina V-Star player that we've talked to so far over the weekend has said the same thing. It's incredibly complex. You have to be willing to adapt on the fly. And has the deck been such a difficult deck to pilot? Has it really been a struggle? Or did you feel, towards your advancement throughout the bracket that this was going to be your tournament?
Well, I did go 9-0 in day one with the deck. All right, getting back to the complex thing. The deck is very complex. It's really hard to play perfectly. I don't even think I played perfectly this weekend, but I guess I did all right. But the deck is really hard to play. But what I really like about it over the other decks in the format right now is that it gives you a lot of agency over your games. Whereas, with Miraidon, for instance, if you play an electric generator, you're at the mercy of an electric generator. As you saw, in this set, a lot of games where I was super behind, I was able to come back from, and I think Giratina does that as the comeback deck, the best deck to come back with of any of the ones in the meta, which is what I really like. It's really hard to play, but there's a lot of upside if you get good at it.
Yeah, that definitely makes a lot of sense. I know that you have probably been thinking about this moment for so long. I don't know if you had anything prepared, you got a speech in your back pocket, but this is a perfect moment, I think, to maybe give a special shout out to somebody who's been really helping prepare for this moment and just kept believing in you after you got so close so many times. Do you want to give a special shout out to anybody specific?
Yeah, I've got an army of people I got to shout out. First shout out always goes to Isaiah Bradner, my best friend from the very beginning, my main testing partner, always helping me out. Second shout out goes to Alex Rubin right over there, my boy. I go to school with him. He goes to tournaments with me, so love him. The whole gang, all right, here we go. Rahul, Xander, Reagan, Michael Slutsky, Justin Bokhari, Sam Chen. Did I miss anyone? I said Reagan. All right. that's the main squad. They got my back all the time. They're my rocks, and yeah, this win is also their win.
That is beautiful that you have so many people helping you and believing in you up for this moment. I know there's so many players out in the field that would kill for your consistency, your ability to make these deep runs at tournaments, and you were always struggling to find that big win now, that crowning achievement. Were you ever doubting yourself, or were you just trusting that the consistency of being able to make these runs would eventually pay off?
You know, I definitely got to a point where I was like, you know, in my career where I was like, you know, I think I found solace in like being like, you know, I might not actually win a major event ever. I'm going to keep trying, obviously, my best, because I still enjoy playing the game. But I definitely prided myself on my consistency, just always being at the top. So, you know, this feels good. So it was something I was gunning for, but like I think like honestly, like at the beginning of this season is when I kind of came to that like conclusion. Maybe I might not win one, but you know, thankfully we got there.
I am honestly so ecstatic that you stuck with it, you know, that you believed in yourself along with all the homies who helped you come this great distance. I mean, Portland Regional Championships, it's a fantastic tournament. It was a great tournament, to say the least. And now that you've won here, are you already thinking about the next tournament? What's next for John Eng?
I will see you guys in Charlotte. And honestly, I'll see you at the rest of the regionals for this season. So, and all the major events. So, yeah, hopefully I can get another one.
Oh, now he's addicted, folks. I'm so glad to hear that you're going to keep that competition running, and hopefully we'll see you at Charlotte. Any final thoughts for the viewers at home just before we let you go and really complete your celebration for your big win?
Play Giratina.
Giratini's got a beautiful vote of confidence. One more round of applause for our winner, folks, here. John Eng, let's go. Thank you once again, my friend, and best of luck to you in the future. So that's going to be it from us on the main stage. We're going to kick things back to the casting desk and prepare to close out the show, so don't go anywhere, folks. We are just about to bring her home.
Congratulations again to both of our finalists, John Eng and Sam. Wow, what an intense final set, and what an incredible tournament. I keep saying it's a great way to kick off 2024. I can't even think of any way that you could have handpicked our rounds, what we saw and everything, and we had just an incredible result and truly a treat to be here this weekend.
Yeah, and you saw Sam happy for John's win. I mean, there has to be maybe a tiny bit of heartbreak, right? Sam saying this was my like one tournament of the year where I come out to play, and if he had won that match, he would have got an automatic invitation to the World Championship. So feels a little bad, but you know he'll still be going home with plenty of prize money, so don't feel that bad. But yeah, congratulations to John. You can see, I think, almost like overwhelmed with emotion. Yeah. Maybe hasn't even sunk in quite yet that he's finally got that. I'm sure dreamt of this moment for years. You know, you just have it in your head. It's finally going to happen. I'm going to get on that stage. I'm going to be regional champion. But for it to finally happen, it can just be a surreal feeling. And maybe you don't even realize until a couple days later, you're like, hey, wait, yeah, I actually won that thing.
I feel like I'm in a dream right now, and that was an incredible finals. Still reeling for that, and our boys in the lounge are going to wrap up this show, talk about what happened, get things rolling. So let's throw it down to the lounge for a quick wrap-up.
Hello, everyone. Adam Watson here, and I've teleported from the front stage for the award ceremony back to the lounge so we can bring it all home. I'm joined here by Jeremy Jallin and Kyle Sablehouse, the boys, the homies, the true Giratina believers. And I gotta say, I think that we are all really happy for John Eng.
Yeah, 100%. And obviously for Sam as well, that was just an unbelievable performance from him. That was the most insane Game 2 I've ever seen in any regional final ever. And I'm old. I've seen a lot of them.
Listen, John finally got that regional win that he's been abyss seeking for this entire time.
Okay.
It's it's been due.
Yeah, I mean, he dug deep indeed to find that win, and it's great when a player that has put so much time and dedication into the game for so long can really feel like all of that time and energy has been rewarded. I guess we can take a time now to actually look at the metagame for Day 2. Giratina ended up in the finals for a mirror match. It was one of the best converting decks, the best converting deck from Day 1 to Day 2. You want to talk about that a little bit, Jeremy?
Yeah, well, the top 4 decks here on the graphic made it into top 8, but Giratina having just a consistent matchup spread versus a lot of the field just made it the meta call for this tournament. Snorlax not really going to be doing too much against your Shred, and really just kind of cleaning up. You have a pretty even matchup against Charizard, and we saw that with John Ang and versus Azul in top 8.
Yeah, very important to note there, the great Charizard matchup. And Kyle, I see you over there with a big grin on your face, the prophet of Giratina V-Star. Do you think that the meta has shifted in this deck's favor, or have players just gotten better at playing it?
Yeah, I feel like it's always had an opportunity to do something like this, and it makes sense that as diverse as this meta has been, that this is the deck that's going to stand out, because it always just has so many answers. And when you put this deck in great hands, like a player like John Ang, you understand that you're getting an opportunity to see any of these attacks used, any of these scenarios played out. He could find 100 different ways to try to close out a game, and sure enough, he found the perfect one in Game 2, which was just phenomenal.
Yeah, very well said. He's an incredibly skilled player, and we're also skilled here on the casting desk with our predictions for what was going to really succeed here in Portland. You know, I've always thrown my hat in the ring for the Rapid Strike decks. Anything that plays Metachamp V, it just makes me salivate. But Charizard did pretty well. So I'm not too sad about that for sure. Even Roaring Moon was a bit of a boogeyman, I would say.
Yeah, on the graphic there, 10 of them in Day 2, but none of them could really convert as the Swiss rounds kept going on. And same with the Rapid Strike too. There was a few there, but they kept getting paired against Mew VMAX in the later rounds, and that is just an auto loss matchup for you.
And of course, you know, Gardevoir still putting up a really strong showing. We'll just not look at Kyogre or Pidgeot or whatever. Those are just freebies, right? The Pidgeot V. It's a great card, quick search, beautiful way to get set up, and we're going to see a lot more of it in the future, I'm sure. But we're getting down to the wire here, folks. So I want to remind all of the viewers at home about the upcoming regional schedule. This was just Portland, folks. So much action went down this weekend, so you already know what you have to look forward to. Charlotte right around the corner, Knoxville, Vancouver, London, EUIC, baby. This is going to be an amazing upcoming few weeks.
Yeah, what a way to start off the new year with a Giratina V-Star victory, and both of them in the finals. You love to see it, and I'm looking forward to these next tournaments coming up.
And Charlotte, very specifically, January 19th to the 21st. It's going to be happening soon, so make sure you tune in there. It's a beautiful town, and I absolutely love Charlotte to pieces. It's a great place to visit, and the culture, the people are so nice. You know, get that Southern hospitality, of course. And anybody who's ever been to Charlotte knows I'm preaching to the choir. This is a great place. And don't forget as well, Liverpool happening in EU. I know that Kyle's a big fan over there in the Liverpool.
Yeah, definitely. No, I think I relate a little more to Charlotte, being that I played in South Carolina for a decade. But yeah, go Liverpool.
I know. I just got to throw you a little curveball there, my guy. But, I mean, Liverpool is great, too. We've talked so much over the course of the weekend, right, Jeremy, about how much of an impact EU has made in their own way on the Pokemon TCG, really elevating the level of play, I think, on the global community, and the fact that their events can now be tied in properly to all of this. Our Twitch broadcast and our regional circuit is really amazing, I think, for the EU side of things.
Yeah, we'll have to see if they can make a Lost Impact in these regionals coming up.
You got me again. I love you, Jeremy. That's absolutely amazing. But if you have any amazing puns, make sure you tweet them at us. Use that hashtag #PlayPokemon. Share all of your amazing Pokemon puns and jokes and art and thoughts for the weekend. Did you know all along as well that Giratina was going to take it all? Make sure that you post that on the internet before it's too late, so that you can let people know that you knew Giratina was the best deck all along, and nobody would ever be able to doubt you.
No doubts at all.
And delete the Rapid Strike tweet and delete the Dialga V-Star tweets. That's what I'm going to be doing later. It's fine. It's fine. But I think that just about wraps it up for us. I know that, again, it's been a long weekend. Any final thoughts for the viewers at home, Jeremy?
Well, we had a pretty stellar finals match here in Portland. We also had a pretty stellar finals match in San Antonio. So if this format is to show anything, that really anything can happen, and it's going to be exciting.
And Kyle, any parting words, any words of wisdom for our viewers at home? Maybe somebody who wants to hear a little bit more advice about how to play Giratina?
Well, in general, just being in Portland, this is my first experience here, so I had a great time, and everyone was really warm and welcoming. It's incredible to see almost 1,500 Masters in Division playing in a West Coast event. It just doesn't happen, so I'm very excited to see what the East Coast numbers are going to look like, what the representation of all of the meta share is going to be, and maybe we'll see a little more Giratina, guys. Maybe we can start talking about some Lugia numbers, the 20%. Come on.
I mean, I definitely love to see it. Whenever a deck does well, more players are going to be willing to take that plunge, maybe pivot off of the Mew or the Gardevoir that didn't do so well for them and become Giratina believers themselves. But that's going to be it from us, folks. We will see you at the next regional in Charlotte, North Carolina. So until then, have a good one.